Some of us have had the flu all week, but apparently this is a food poisoning issue. Some 10 players from Arizona State are down with food poisoning, and there are 3 for Wake Forest. Most notably for Arizona State, it's the backup quarterback, John Leonard. And one of the reasons that's significant, of course, Ryan Keeley is already out with an injury, and so he was going to share time today. He took some snaps in pregame. He is expected to play some. Also, Al Williams, outstanding free safety, his status unknown, as is Samilton, a defensive lineman. 2 players for Wake Forest. That's Hollowell, the offensive lineman, and defensive lineman, who's also the deep snapper. So all this came down just a couple of minutes ago.
Well, you make the point that John Leonard is the backup quarterback, but with Ryan Keeley out, certainly, and Griff Goodman starting, they wanted Leonard to go quite a bit today.
Yeah.
So that is big for Arizona State. Now, for Wake Forest, this is the first bowl appearance since 19...
Coming up next, the Jeep Aloha Bowl. Merry Christmas, everybody. And kids, I'll see you tonight. This is ABC Sports, home of the Bowl Championship Series and the National Championship Game.
Aloha, everybody. It's Christmas in Hawaii for the 18th edition of the Jeep Aloha Bowl. It's Wake Forest and Arizona State. We're in an area called Aloha in Oahu Stadium, and here comes Santa Claus. Mele Kalikimaka, everybody. Merry Christmas from the islands. Hi, everybody. I'm Tim Brand, along with Dean Blevins. Glad to have you along for what really should be a fun afternoon and an interesting matchup, Wake Forest and Arizona State. Although Arizona State comes out without its starting quarterback, Ryan Keeley is hurt, and so they start Griff Goodman. And I think, Dean, that has to put more pressure on Todd Heap, the tight end.
I think he can handle it. I mean, this is a guy, if you haven't seen him play, he is as good a tight end as you're going to see in college. They'll get the ball to this guy today, I think 15 times. He can do everything. We'll watch him, and we'll also keep an eye on J.R. Redmond, the terrific all-around back. He's healthier than he's been all season, and when he's healthy, he can fly.
Wake Forest has one of the biggest offensive lines in the country. They average 309 pounds. No one is under 300, and they will go after you. Here come the Demon Deacons into Aloha Stadium, and they are fired up, have not been to a bowl since 1992. But with that offensive line, they'll try to bang you. That means Morgan Kane.
Well, they're a lot bigger than Arizona State. Arizona State a little banged up additionally on the defensive front, and Morgan Kane is a guy big, strong, and he gets stronger as the game goes along. He ended the season in the big upset win over Georgia Tech that got them here, 224 yards.
Sun and fun and football. The Jeep Aloha Bowl, folks. This will be an outstanding matchup. We're in an area called Aloha in Oahu, Aloha Stadium. Mele Kalikimaka, everybody. Merry Christmas. We'll be back with more after this.
Here comes old St. Nicholas. He's a long, long way from home, singing Mele Kalikimaka from the Jeep Aloha Bowl.
Forest and Arizona State getting ready to play in the Jeep Aloha Bowl. Right now, they're getting ready for the coin toss. So let's take you down to Marv Klein, who is the Jeep division of Daimler Chrysler manager, and he'll do the honors.
Good luck, man. Good luck, bro.
Merry Christmas, guys. Who's going to call it? Okay. What are you going to want, heads or tails?
Heads.
Heads. This gentleman's going to flip the commemorative coin. He said heads, I believe. There you go. Just throw it. He said heads. It's heads. He won the toss, Wake Forest. All right, let me show the people what's going to happen. Wake Forest has won the toss and will be first for the second half.
Referee is Jim Lapatina. Here's Jim Caldwell, the head coach of Wake Forest. A quiet coin toss. Look at Bruce Snyder of Arizona State. Looking on to see who wins the coin toss. But on a day like this, does it really matter? Wake Forest wins the toss. They elect to defer. ASU will receive. Let's go down to Michael Buffer.
Michael Buffer. Standing with Michael Buffer is Don McNeely.
Ladies and gentlemen, Malakaliki Maka, and welcome to Christmas in Paradise and the 18th annual Jeep Aloha Bowl. So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world on ABC, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
We're ready to rumble. Let's go downstairs to Leslie Goodell, the third member of our team, who's with Bruce Snyder.
Thanks, Tim. An unfortunate turn of events for you, Coach. You've got some guys down with food poisoning, most notably your backup quarterback, John Leonard. How's that going to affect you today?
Well, we really don't know it. We woke up this morning, John and also Alfred Williams, one of our starting safeties. I think we have up to 9 to 10 players that are not feeling really well. Don't know how it's going to play out, but it's certainly something you don't look forward to having.
The fortunate thing is you had named Griffin Goodman your starter earlier this week.
Yeah, and Griff is feeling very good. He's a calm guy. He's very mature, so I think he'll get us off to a pretty good start.
Thanks, Coach. And Leonard is getting an IV, so they hope to see him later in the game. Tim, back to you.
All right, Leslie, thank you very much. We told you about the officials. With John Langen, the back judge, also has some food poisoning or the flu, which my partner Dean Blevins had earlier this week. And so James Kovstad will step in for him. He was the alternate, affecting everybody here today.
If these guys can come out and play, if they have what I had, they're a lot tougher than I was. All I wanted to do was sleep. And we've got a couple of players on Wake Forest who are wanting to sleep as well. Todd Hollowell is one of the guys out of the lineup for them with the same problem. Brad Smith, a defensive end. So it'll affect these guys.
Number 3 is Delvon Flowers. You saw Gerald Green back with him. Number 15, Tyler Ash, will kick off for Wake Forest. 40 of the 53 kickoffs this past year from Ash have gone for touchbacks. And this is a deep one as well. Flowers all the way to the back line. That goes out of bounds. So another touchback for Ash, and the strong leg shows early. Take a look at the Jeep starting lineups across that front for Arizona State. It's Smith, Jones, Peters, Bossier, and LeVay. Skilled guys. Richard Williams, he's the guy to watch. He's got a lot of speed. He is a sprint guy from Jamaica. McDonald and Todd Heap, Dean talked about. He figures big in the game plan. And Goodman, the quarterback. Redmond and Terrell Smith in the backfield. Kazar, the smallest guy on that offensive line. He's 280. This is J.R. Redmond. And the defensive line closes down quickly on him. Take a look at the defensive lineups for Wake Forest. The Demon Deacons across the front. Brian Ray. Fred Robbins is 6'5", 320 pounds. Shackelford and Smith. Bowling steps in for Shackelford. Dustin Lyman at linebacker, along with Kelvin Moses, Abdul Geis, very active linebackers. Reggie Austin, Iran Carpenter, DeLon Parrish. Parrish is a superstar. Adrian Duncan is on the other corner. Here's Redmond again. Left side, finds a little bit of a crease. He's out to the 25-yard line. Tackle made by Kelvin Moses.
All right, here's the strengths and weaknesses of our starter today for Arizona State. Griffin Goodman, he is a good decision maker. He has good touch on the ball. And the coaches tell me he's managed the huddle well once he's learned that he is the starter. But he holds on to the ball too long. That'll be a concern today. And he also is not as mobile as they would like. So look for a lot of pressure to come from this defense on him.
Third down and about 5. Here comes Courtney Jackson. Jackson, who is normally on defense, comes in on offense. They run the reverse, and he comes up about 2 yards short. Tackle made by DeLon Parrish.
Good job that time. Adrian Duncan starting at cornerback, containing that play.
How about that surprise? Courtney Jackson, their all-conference cornerback, He comes in as a wide receiver, and right away they let the senior take it on the reverse.
Well, they're going to pull out all stops today. I mean, these teams have had extra time to prepare, and they want this game as more than any other game because it's the one they're playing today. This is not a vacation for these teams.
See the numbers on Nick Murphy, and he'll be punting to Reggie Austin, who's standing at the 35-yard line. This is a high spiraling punt. That's taken at the 24 and covered nicely. Take a look at the Jeep starting lineups for Wake Forest, and this is the offensive line we talked about. Collins is 318, Wolverton 310, Azalina 302, Setter 320, and Hollowell is 310. Jamie Deese, Marvin Chalmers, those guys are the speed guys, and James Lick is the big tight end, 6'6", 240. Ben Sankey, very athletic quarterback. Morgan Kane is the running back, and Mahaley is the fullback. There's a look at Jamie Deese. He's at the bottom of your screen, but Morgan Kane, the ball carrier. Defensively for Arizona State, Yancey, Riley, Britton, and Flowers. And Eric Flowers is a superstar. Unk, Trejo, and Adam Archuleta is an all-conference linebacker. First team all Pac-10. In the secondary, Clark, Daniel, Williams, and Courtney Jackson from DeSoto, Texas. We've already seen him on offense running the reverse. 2nd down and 8. Sankey wanted to throw the timing pattern. Instead rolls, and it's incomplete. Intended for Chalmers.
Well, let's take a look at the starter for Wake Forest. May not have heard much about Ben Sankey. He sat on the bench patiently for 3 years to get his chance, and he's also very patient in the pocket. You saw him buy some time there. Feet in the pocket are outstanding, and he's a good option runner. He is not a drop-back passer. They do not have a vertical game here. This is a team that can't afford to fall behind. And one other change due to the illness, Todd Hollowell, team number 66, is not in the game right now. 62, Willie Lamb starts.
Chalmers and Caldwell come to the bottom of your screen. Deese at the top. 3rd down and 8. Across the middle they go. Complete. 1st down, Wake Forest. Complete to the tight end, James Lick. His first catch. First completion for Sankey.
This is the type of pass game that you will see out of Sankey and company because they don't go vertical. Lick, though, is smart enough here, number 39, the tight end, to find the curl area against the zone here, and he does a nice job of sitting down and the ball delivered on time. He makes that 1st down by about a yard, only his 20th catch of the season. He's primarily a blocker.
1st down for the Deacons, so they go back to Kane. Kane gets to the edge and takes it to the 45-yard line. Good block by Williams. Take a look, Dean, at the Dell Game Solutions.
Well, for Wake Forest offensively, they want to muscle up front. They feel they have an advantage, and Kane being the big, strong runner, they want him to be the difference offensively. And from the defensive side of Arizona State, they realize that trench warfare, if there are 4 guys up front get pushed back, their coaches tell me they can't win. So right there in the middle of the pile is probably going to be the difference between whether Coach Caldwell's team wins or Bruce Snyder's team wins.
Well, we'll take a look at it here. Again, offensive line averages 309 pounds. Sankey under pressure. Shows his athletic ability, has the ball complete. Thomas down to the 44-yard line. And another 1st down for the Demon Deacons.
This is a real patient offense. They would love to grind out the time, shorten down the game, let their kicking game be important, and win with their defense. Whatever they can get out of the offense. I mean, they're a 2014 type team in terms of winning. That's the type of score they'd like to see.
1st down for the Deeks. Again, they bring pressure off the edge. Looking for a flag. There is none. Sankey was tagged. Well, they got a lot of pressure off the edge, and Mason Unk was the guy that got there to knock Sankey to the ground.
Well, the 3 linebackers for Arizona State very active, and they will be in the game most of the time. A lot of these teams are running players in and out. You're going to see 20 defenders for Wake Forest, but they don't have the depth on Arizona State. They've had a ton of injuries, And you're going to see Archuleta, and you're going to see Trejo and Unk, their 52, who was in coverage most of the afternoon.
Second down and 10. Caldwell in motion again. They try to get to the outside with Caldwell on the speed hand. And Jimmy Caldwell, the Suns coach, is taken down after a gain of about a yard.
Yeah, Archuleta, this guy is really something else. You know, he's down to about 205 pounds. Number 40 here. Watch him contain the play and attack. This is a very aggressive junior linebacker, all-conference player, and he does it with his brains. I mean, he's a guy that has no body fat. You saw him a couple of nights ago, and a neat kid, but he plays with his brains as well as anyone you'll see.
He was telling us he had a hamstring injury during the year, missed 3 weeks, and his weight dropped dramatically. Sankey under pressure again, across the middle. It's complete to Deese. Deese down to the 30, and another first down for Wake Forest.
Good example of the feet of Ben Sankey. Watch him buy time in the pocket here. He is a guy that doesn't get rattled, doesn't get rushed. For a first-year quarterback, you don't really see this a lot. Here's the receiver, 21, Deese, the go-to guy. Nice job of threading the needle on that one.
Well, last year they had Desmond Clark, and Deese this year stepped up and replaced him big time. He just made his 33rd catch of the year.
Really playing it soft down here.
Here's Kane looking for a hole. He's got one to the outside, inside the 20, down to the 10, still on his feet at the 5, and knocked out of bounds there. Morgan Kane, 6'1", 220-pound senior from Ottawa, Canada. Ran for over 1,060 yards this year, all ACC, and that's a pickup of 26.
Well, there's soft coverage on the near side. Right over here, there's no cornerback play. He's off about 15 yards, so Morgan Kane knows that, pops this play outside. There he shows the speed, and you know, you combine that with the strength and the power of this 220-pounder, and you know why he's a special back.
Wake Forest, first and goal at the 5, 10th play of this drive. Kane over the top, met by Stephen Trejo and Alfred Williams. Had a great chat with Morgan Kane, and we asked him to describe his running style for us.
No huddle.
He talked about using his strength, but his speed. Sankey on play action is going to get caught all the way back at the 18-yard line. Mason Oak never was taking any fakes. And that's a huge loss for the Demon Deacons.
Well, and the first roll of the dice by head coach and offensive coordinator Jim Caldwell goes against Wake Forest. They go no huddle, Caldwell thinking that he can surprise Arizona State, that they're going to be substituting. They don't substitute. They're right on top of the play, and ended up throwing the quarterback for a big loss, puts him kind of in a jam.
A loss of 16. Third down and goal from just inside the 20. From the shotgun. Sankey does have time. Throws underneath. This is Deese. Inside the 10, back to the 4.
Well, the first big decision was to no huddle, and you saw what happened. So this time Jim Caldwell says, let's take the 3. Let's just get our points, because as we mentioned a moment ago, his philosophy is, let's don't go win this with offense. Let's be smart. Let's let our defense, the kicking game, let's let that be the winner for us. Let's get points on the board and go from there. And that's what they're doing. I think it's a wise move.
Almost a sure thing from Matthew Burdick. Burdick is Wake Forest all-time leader with 46 field goals made. Had 16 field goals this year, tied the single-season record. He's very, very effective. So now we're all set. This is a 22-yard attempt for Burdick to put Wake Forest on the board. He does. He splits the sticks, and the Demon Deacons score first. 8:18 to play in the first quarter from Oahu. Wake Forest 3, Arizona State nothing.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
We've seen a lot of that this week. There's a brand new couple. ABC just married. And I know along the beach of Waikiki, we've seen a lot of marriages this week.
Absolutely.
Place to come. And
what a place.
Set it for life. Lifetime of memories in one visit to this beautiful island.
Maybe you should say a lot of happy marriages.
Happy marriage.
There you go.
Tyler Ash to kick off. Delvon Flowers and Gerald Green standing back at the goal line. Ash has that strong leg. This, though, is a low liner. Flowers will take this one at the 1. Flowers still on his feet and gets to the outside. Jimmy Caldwell trying to wrestle him down there. Out to the 32-yard line. Deshaun Smith finally makes the tackle, but a fine return by Flowers. The Jeep Aloha Bowl on ABC Sports is brought to you by Jeep Grand Cherokee with legendary off-road capability. By Sheridan, experience the warmth of Sheridan's Waikiki. By Dell Computer, pioneering direct internet ideas for your business. Be direct, Dell. And by ADT, the power that protects more families than any other security company in America. First down, Arizona State. Griffin Goodman is the quarterback. Ryan Keeley is out. This give is to Redmond. Redmond to the 35. Tackle made there by Duncan and Lyman. You can take a look at the Dell Game Solutions.
Well, what Arizona State is trying to do is get good quarterback management. They don't want one of these quarterbacks to come out here and feel he has to win the game and just not make the mistakes, make the good decisions, because Ryan Keeley being out is a problem. Now, defensively for Arizona State, or for Wake Forest rather, they want to smother the new quarterback and cover, of course, the leap of Heap. Heap is our tight end 80, and it's about time to call his number, Tim. There's his number.
Goodman rolls all the way to the outside and throws a dead duck. Boy, I mean, he had Williams wide open. There is a flag on the play.
Well, he did. He did. Great coverage. That was a play intended for Heap, but he was double covered.
And it's against the Sun Devils. You mentioned Ryan Keeley's out with that right knee injury, an ACL. He's been through several knee injuries.
Well, he has, and he's been through an up and down career, but led this team to 2 bowl games, not able to play in either one. You just hate to see a guy end a career like this because he's put so much into that program. But that was not a good start for Griff Goodman. Call it like it is. That ball that he threw was ugly.
Previous spot. Repeat second down.
Timmy did a good job of buying time, but once he spotted his receiver, it was not a good throw. He was wanting to go to 80, Leap, who is the primary receiver or the secondary receiver on almost every pass that Arizona State will throw. But you can bet that the Demon Deacons will be watching number 80 all day.
So it'll be second down and 11 for Arizona State after they mark off the penalty. There's a look at Todd Heap, 6'5", 232 pounds. What an athlete. Straight ahead to give, hit almost immediately. Chris McCoy never really got going. Or correction, Terrell Smith. Kelvin Moses met him in the backfield.
To take pressure off your quarterback, it's real simple. You've got to establish some type of running game. Wake Forest realizes that, so they will do all they can to stop any type of running game that Arizona State tries to put at them, because Heap really won't become a factor until they can balance it a little bit.
So third down and long for Arizona State. Here comes the pressure. Throwing deep. Looking for Williams. And broken up nicely by DeLon Parrish. So you had the best receiver working against the best safety, Williams and Parrish.
Well, and Parrish wins that one, and DeLon Parrish has won a lot of battles over his days at Wake Forest. Watch the end of this play. This guy can really go. He can burn it. He's a 3-time academic stud. He is in great position here. The only way to complete that ball is to win a basketball jump rebound type play, and Parrish isn't going to let that happen.
Nick Murphy running to Reggie Austin. Junior college transfer. He's put 16 inside the 20-yard line this year. Doubt if he can reach that from here. This is a high spiraling punt. He will take all the way back to the 20, and Green is hit Reggie Austin goes down inside the 20. They'll mark it at the 18. There is a flag, and he may have gotten in the halo.
Well, that call has been made so much this year. You're seeing receivers catch almost every ball.
May have been pushed from behind.
Well, the 6-foot halo area is what you're looking at. And we'll see they are inside that area, it seems to me, Tim. So that should be the call. If there was a push somewhere, that would be an additional.
Jamel Reedy is the guy who was caught inside the halo. So
first down.
That'll be a first down from the 26. 6:28 remaining in the first quarter here at Aloha Stadium in Oahu.
Here comes old St. Nicholas, got a surfboard on his sleigh. Come on, kids, gather round. Well, Santa's catching waves.
Morgan Kane, the running back, is. He's the first team in Deacon to go over 500 yards since John Leach back in '93, and this carry off the right side for a gain of 1. We talked to Morgan Kane about his running style, and he gave us this answer.
I think inside the tackles is where I'm most effective, just because I can use a lot of my power, and I was up at 225 at one point this season, and I think using my power is what gets me most of my yards, and then once I get past the secondary, I think I have enough speed to go all the way.
Kane's got 5 carries, 37 yards, second down and 10, and here he is again, the fake, and now they go outside, almost picked off after the bobble, but the pass is incomplete. It was intended for Mahaley, and Adam Archuleta almost got his hands on it.
Well, Archuleta almost came up with a Christmas gift of his own there, because he was beaten. Mahaley used the great play fake, and he was wide open, but he bobbled the football, and that could have been a nice gain for Wake Forest. Ends up almost being an interception. Great play fake. And a nice throw by Sankey. You just got to catch that one. He had a lot of green, I was going to say green grass. He had a lot of green stuff in front of him, Tim. New turf here.
Third down and 10 for Wake Forest. 5-step drop by Sankey. Throws a little underneath screen.
Well, it was a nice call on a blitz coming from Archuleta, but Arizona State regrouped quickly enough and made the play. And go ahead, Tim. I was going to
say Kane out to the 35 comes up short of the first, so they'll have to punt.
We might see John Leonard very early in this game. We talked about him being one of the players with the food poisoning. He's the other quarterback.
What's up, Devil? What's up, Devil? Come on. Wait.
Well, McPherson gets off a high punt, but it's not very long. So J.R. Redmond will fair catch that at the 33, and Arizona State will have good field position. Timeout on the field. We'll take one as well. 4:56 to play, first quarter. There is a flag down on the play. So let's find out what that's all about before we go away. Saw Bruce Snyder there. He's led the Sun Devils to 35 wins in the last 51 games. Tough year for him, though. Roller coaster ride. So this is a nice trip for them to end up with. It's going to be against Wake Forest. Jim Caldwell completing his 7th year at Wake Forest. Couldn't ask for 2 better coaches to work with on a nice trip to Hawaii.
Boy, isn't that true? What a gentleman Jim is.
Dead ball. Personal foul on the kickers. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the catch. First down.
So it'll be a first down up near midfield when we come back.
Merry Christmas.
Just trying to describe Hawaii without saying paradise is nearly impossible, and that's not a cliche. I think it's an understatement. 3-0 Wake Forest over Arizona State, just underway here. 4:56 to play in the first quarter at Aloha Stadium. Arizona State first down at the 48. Griff Goodman still the quarterback. Looking to throw to JR. JR Redmond's got a blocker. Across midfield into Wake Forest territory, down at the 47. Stopped by Abdul Geis and Kelvin Shackelford.
Thought process for Arizona State is anytime they get pressure early, they're going to dump it off. It'll be a lot of arrow routes. There'll be a lot of things to the backs out of the backfield, swing routes. That time there was no pressure from Wake Forest, and it was nice movement by big Kelvin Shackelford, 73, getting downfield.
Second down and 7. Here's Flowers. And Flowers is out close to a first down. Well, ABC is the place to be on New Year's Day for a college football triple header. At 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Pacific, Michigan State battles Florida. That's the Citrus Bowl. Then at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific, the BCS kicks off. Heisman winner Ron Dane leads Wisconsin against Stanford in the Rose Bowl. Then in prime time at 8:30 Eastern, it's the Orange Bowl. SEC champion Alabama faces Michigan. And it's all part of a super January on ABC Sports, home of the Bowl Championship Series. Elvon Flowers has enough for the first.
Well, that was a heck of a play, though, in the secondary coming up from his free safety position. DeLon Parrish. But he does get the first, not by much, though. Man, they're going over a great tackle over there, Tim. 71. Keep an eye on Marvell Smith today. This is one of the best tackles in college football. Good chance he'll turn pro. He's a junior, 6'6", 314 pounds. And wonderful success story for this guy. He is expected to be a top draft pick if he does come out. One of the top 2 or 3 in the country.
Rated by Sporting News as the 3rd best tackle in all of football. Ball's on the ground. Wake Forest comes up with it.
Well, new quarterback, the first thing you have to do is get the snap.
Brian Ray comes up with the fumble. All-conference type guy, had 10 sacks, 19 tackles for loss this year, and 3 fumble recoveries. He gets another one here, Dino.
Well, good job on his part, but what you have clearly is a new quarterback coming in, a little anxious, trying to get out. He has a new center he's working with. But Tim, it didn't like this as the first week they played together. They have had time to prepare since the end of the season. You can't do that, and I think that there's a good chance that John Leonard will get a chance to come in here if he is over the food poisoning.
Well, Goodman and Leonard both got a lot of playing time during the season as well. Kane out to the 46. Adam Archuleta racks up another tackle. There's a look at Brian Ray from the Wheaton, Maryland area just outside Washington, D.C. Actually started at St. John's College High School there for John Ricca, then transferred over to Wheaton High School and played for a former teammate of mine, Lee Branover. He's a talented athlete. My sons played against him in high school.
Is that right?
He was a beast.
One of your sons is homesick with us, Jason. Hope he feels better.
Second down and long.
This crud is everywhere in Hawaii, it seems.
Let's go downstairs to Leslie Goodell. Leslie?
You know, Tim, a couple different theories in the uniform selections with these teams today. ASU opted to go with the road bottoms and the home tops because they wore their road bottoms at home when they beat Arizona, and that's how they got to this bowl game. As for Wake, they have their road tops and home pants on because they wanted to stay cool. I think I'm with Wake because, you guys, it's hot down here.
All right, Leslie, stay cool.
Tim, I was going to say look for option. You won't see option out of one back very often, but this is a situation where Wake Forest likes to run some option.
Chris McCoy comes in for Kane. Here is the option. Sankey keeps it. He's got the first and more. Still on his feet down to the 27-yard line. They'll say he stepped out at the 36. He ended up in the kicker's net.
Well, that's okay. When you go in the net after a big play, it's a lot better to come out of it than if you've had an unsuccessful play. They do run option out of the one back.
Move the chains, first down for Wake.
And here's a good look at Archuleta. He will over pursue on this play. Very aggressive player. He has the pitch man actually on that play. And so Sankey cuts it up where he is supposed to cut it up, and he has open territory. That's a great way of executing the option play by spreading the field out with one back.
The Deeks go back to the eye. Mahalia Morgan Kane. Here's Kane. Breaks one tackle. down to the 33-yard line.
And that's what Arizona State has to do. Unk was in the backfield, but one guy isn't going to bring down Kane. You saw him keep his legs churning, but the pursuit that Arizona State has, they have great team speed, and they have to get there to bring this guy down. As we said earlier, he'll just wear you down as the game goes along.
I'll tell you this, Archuleta has been active in the game so far. First team all Pac-10. He is undersized at 6 feet, right around 200 pounds, but he does run to the football.
Yeah, relentlessly.
Had 8 games this year, double-digit tackles, 10 or more. Second down and 8.
Not a team known for running its fullback very much, but they will bang him up there occasionally, and I think that Arizona State is expecting more of that today than what Wake Forest has shown recently.
Reminder coming up tomorrow, ESPN Sports Center's 50 greatest athletes counts down to number 1. Who will it be, Dean?
Well, I'm going with Muhammad Ali over...
I'm going with Michael Jordan.
I didn't see what happened last night.
I'm going with Jordan.
Okay, Jordan and Ali would be the ones I would guess, but I would go with Ali.
Sports Century presented by General Motors on ESPN.
My pick might be Jim Thorpe, a little biased. He's in Oklahoma.
Third down and 5, and this ball is batted down immediately. Mason Unk came through cleanly and almost put it back in the face of Sankey.
Yeah, Sankey has to beat that man because he's going to come through unblocked. He has to be responsible to get around him, and Unk comes through a little bit of a risky move defensively, but you got to roll the dice. Unk, top of the screen, unblocked. If he doesn't jump off, that ball's out in the flat. Easy pickup for the first down. Unk has to make the play.
So Matthew Burdick comes on to attempt another field goal. This is from 47. That would tie his longest of the year. And this one is not going to make it. So Burdick comes up short. He's now 1 for 2, and the score remains the same. Wake Forest 3, Arizona State nothing. And ASU really hasn't gotten into a rhythm yet.
No, and I think the quarterback situation has to be the main thing, because you've got to have a quarterback to operate, to make good decisions. They don't need a guy to win the game for them. They just need a guy to make good decisions. They had a wide open receiver. It was thrown in the turf. And then they had a fumbled snap. Those are two things you cannot do, but they're sticking with their quarterback.
Well, let me tell you about Goodman. He's a walk-on, very smart guy.
Yep.
He went 4 for 5 against Texas Tech when he played. He won the UCLA game with that pass to Flowers. Came in and was strong there. And so they have a lot of confidence in him. Here's Redmond. JR gets a tough yard. That's it.
Well, and you don't know if they're trying to stay with Goodman because they want to give him confidence, and if you yank him, you know, that doesn't do anything for you. Or if it's the fact that John Leonard is simply not ready to go. I agree with leaving a guy in there, letting him try to find his rhythm. He hadn't played enough.
Last few seconds of the first quarter at Aloha Stadium in Oahu. Wake Forest wins the first 15 minutes, 3-0 over Arizona State. ABC Sports presentation of college football will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Ready to start the second 15 here at Aloha Stadium in Oahu.
Well, leaving us a moment ago, you saw Kelvin Shackelford make a play, and at the end of the play, a gesture that in the NFL is drawing fines. Watch 73 go down, and the throat slash right there.
Now that's been outlawed in the NFL.
Yeah, that is outlawed, and it should be everywhere.
Should be a penalty in college football.
And he's matched up. We're going to keep an eye all afternoon on 71, Marvell Smith from Arizona State. That time he and Shackelford got after it, but Marvell is a dandy, and if Shackelford can make plays like that, it's going to be a long day for the Sun Devils.
Second down and almost 9. Goodman's throw is complete. That's to Jennings, the tight end. He's got enough for the first.
You know what that's like for the quarterback there is a pitcher who can't find the strike zone. He's gotten to where he's walked 3 or 4 batters, and he gets mad. He grits his teeth. He says, I'm going to throw it over the middle. And that's exactly what you saw, the determination by Goodman that time, in a terrific throw.
Sun Devils need to get something going. They had 11 plays, only 17 yards in the first quarter.
Well, they did. 1 first down, and the time of possession was almost double against them.
Goodman to throw again. He does. The throw back to Heap. Here's Todd Heap, and he's hit hard. Terrific play by Adrian Duncan, the cornerback, to come up and take him down immediately.
First quarter stats all go to Wake Forest. Time of possession, we have a double there. We have 5-1 there, and third down conversions 50%. It was the type of game that Wake Forest wants, a low-scoring game, and one where they get to control the time of possession.
Well, Wake's been led by its defense, and they're very conscious of the fact that this team can score on big plays in a hurry. And here's one as Redmond breaks it straight up the middle for another first and down to the 42.
Redmond at one time many thought was the best back in the country, and because he has a combination of speed and strength and power, he does it all. And he goes through this hole that was opened up quite nicely, but he goes to not like a sprinter, but like a sprinter who has also power ability.
Got a terrific block from Terrell Smith. Redmond now 5 carries, 22 yards. Here he is again. Breaks it outside to the 34-yard line. And close to another first down. J.R. Redmond had 12 100-yard rushing games, and he does it from so many different ways. Look at this. Breaks this one off tackle. Breaks the tackle and gets into the end zone. Then on the returns. Middle return with blocks, and he's got speed. And as a receiver, he's a triple threat.
And that versatility makes him a possible first-round draft choice.
Second down and 2. Redmond off the right tackle's got the first down to the 30. And J.R. Redmond now starts to roll.
Well, and this is the rhythm Arizona State's looking for. They got the quarterback to find a pass, the high percentage work throws. The throw works, and then you get the run. Now watch the blocking up front. 69, Kazar. He is a critical player in this game today. Offensive coordinator Dan Cazzetto says that number 69's blocking ability against Shackelford and Bowling and Bigger Robbins down low will be the most critical thing for them offensively.
Shackelford is shaken up. Correction, that's Lyman. So while there's time out on the field, we'll take one as well. Aloha.
Go Bows!
Tech for the national championship. The Nokia Sugar Bowl, January 4th.
Welcome back to Aloha Stadium in Oahu, everybody. Tim Brandt along with Dean Blevins, and it looks as if J.R. Redmond now is starting the roll.
Well, it is. He has. They're getting a little bit of versatility in the offense. You can't just hand it to a guy when the defense knows it's going to come. They'll cram the line of scrimmage, 8 or 9 guys, but now you get your offense with your quarterback in a little bit of a rhythm, and that makes it a little bit easier. So it takes the pressure off the quarterback, takes the pressure off the running back, and now you get to incorporate Heap into the game plan a little bit more.
Dustin Lyman was just helped off the field, got his leg rolled up on, so they're working on him on the sideline. He has 4 tackles today. He leads the ball game. Here they go now. Williams, Richard Williams has speed, and he's down to the 27-yard line.
That was well defended. This is a swarming defense, and Wake Forest is getting a great defensive coaching job by James Bell. Let's go back to that injury we talked about a moment ago by Dustin Lyman, 43. Here he is, an outstanding linebacker who is an all-conference player. Look at that right foot, right ankle. Oh, that hurts up here. Hurts at home, I'm sure, and hurts more with him.
Second down and call it 7. But again with a 5-step drop. Has time. This one should have been caught. Richard Williams had to go right through his hands. Adrian Duncan was the man covering, but that was a catchable ball.
You know, and visiting with James Bell, the defensive coordinator at Wake Forest, they said, "Now we're not going to do anything special for Heap." Well, every time I look out there on the field, I see him doubled up, and I think that's the wise way to play, don't you?
I definitely do, and don't be surprised now if they start moving Heap around. As you look at James Bell, the defensive coordinator for Wake Forest. The Deacons being challenged defensively for the first time. And they respond to J.R. Redmond. Oh, my. Smith and Bowling got there in a hurry.
Bowling got him a start today over Shackelford. And he's making the most of it. And this, again, is a club that rolls so many people in. They aren't going to get tired, I guarantee you. You know, this is the time of year back in the States that maybe you play a long time and don't get tired. But it's 80 degrees over here, very humid, and Arizona State will wear down much quicker than the defense of Wake Forest.
So Arizona State will try a field goal. This will be from 46 yards. This is Mike Barth, his longest is at 46, so this is really pressing the limit. This has plenty of distance. Barth splits the sticks, and it's good. We're tied at 3.
That's pretty good because they have had a lot of kicks blocked. And Bruce Snyder goes, that was a 3 we really didn't expect, but we'll take.
So Baker nails it after J.R. Redmond got him down in the field goal range. We are tied at 3. He can score on big plays in a hurry, and here's one as Redmond. Well, we are tied at 3. Mike Barth's first field goal attempt this year. He nails it from 46 yards out, and everybody enjoying the sunshine here in Oahu, Hawaii. So Arizona State will kick off. There's a look at John Stone. John Stone can fly. They say he runs a 4.240, and he is one of the 100-meter champs in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Here's your return. And Wake Forest will have it at the 24. The Jeep Aloha Bowl on ABC Sports is brought to you by Jeep, makers of Grand Cherokee, Cherokee and Wrangler. By Burger King, have it your way. Nortel Networks, we're building the new high-performance internet. And by Morgan Stanley Dean Winter, we measure success one investor at a time. Tied at 3, Wake Forest and Arizona State. Demon Deacons first down. Ben Sankey, the quarterback. Out of the eye. Sankey steps up and looks deep, has a man open, and Chalmers can't catch up to it.
Ooh, and he had him too. You called it.
Let's go downstairs to Leslie Goodell. Leslie?
Guys, Dustin Lyman has a sprained knee. Fortunately, there's no ligament damage. They're icing it down, hoping maybe that he'll be back in the game a little later. Kelvin Moses, one of his teammates, came by, told him to hang in there, and James Bell came by, the defensive coordinator, to see how he's doing. Of course, they're concerned him being arguably the best defensive player on the team. Back to you.
All right, Les, thanks. Second down and 10 now for Wake Forest. You have to agree with not only if he's the second best, there's not much space between 1 and 2. He is really talented. Kane breaks off a big run. About 2 yards short of the first.
And if you missed us earlier in the game, we'll tell you what you missed, and that is real simple. The ball game in Arizona State's mind will come down to what we just saw on that play, and that is turning around and handing the ball off to Kane. If their defensive front gets pushed back, as it did on that play, they don't believe that they can win this football game. So much more of that, and it'll be a long day for the guys from Arizona.
Kane now with 8 carries, 49 yards. Third down and 2. Haley straight ahead, not going to get it.
And that's a little better. That's the same thing we were talking about, and Mahaley didn't find any running room up there. And I think what you're seeing is Kevin Walthausen, the defensive line coach from Arizona State, playing a lot of tricks up front.
Great stop by the defensive front for Arizona State that time. And keep in mind, they're playing without Junior Ione.
Yeah. Well, this guy's fabulous. I mean, he's a first-round draft pick. He's a 6'4", 340-pound stud, and not having him in the lineup and Samilton slowed today really thins that defensive front out. And I tell you, Junior is a fabulous football player and a first-round pick, definitely.
Ioane is not in the ball game. So James McPherson, the punt. J.R. Redmond will take this one right about the 30. Runs into his own player. And loses yardage down to the 25. So a 33-yard punt. And a loss of 5 on the return. Wake Forest and Arizona State. We're in the Aloha Stadium in Hawaii. And it is a magnificent day. Tim Brand along with Dean Blevins and Leslie Goodell.
And here's Lyman. Neat kid. It sure was good visiting with half dozen, 7 players from each of the clubs, and he was a neat kid to talk to, and that's not a good sign there. It looks like he will not be back in the ball game. He's a terrific player.
Redmond breaks 2 tackles out to the 31-yard line. J.R. Redmond, Gerald Green. And Gerald Green played in all 11 games. Averages just under 5 yards a carry. And they say he's the guy that plays the best on AstroTurf.
Yeah, they've got 3 different runners they can go to. Redmond's the power runner, although he does have a little bit of both, and there's Smith up front opening that hole. 71's doing his job. Delvon Flowers, the speed guy. Now they come with Gerald Green. He's the turf guy, as you said.
This is Redmond. No, still Green.
You know, Green in part got the reputation of being a turf guy. His outstanding performance up in Seattle. Remember the game they went up and upset the Huskies? Laid it all on them. And this guy Green had a terrific game there. But some players can play better on turf than on grass. I don't know. I've never really bought into that too much.
3rd down and just call it inches. Off the left side they go, and it's Green again, and Green is close to the 1st down. This will depend on the mark, and it looks like he's got enough. .59", 190 pounds. He's a senior. Gerald Green, 2 touchdowns on the year. Bruce Snyder trying to get his receivers back in the ball game. Now Delvon Flowers comes in at tailback, and Green goes out. Brian, 4th and Flowers at the top of your screen. He's going to look that way. It's Flowers who has the ball and drops it, and that was perfectly thrown. Another catchable ball that's dropped.
Delvon Flowers, a running back, put out in the slot, and Bruce Snyder says, you know, we have some luxuries because Heap, we can move him out, not into a flex position, but into a wide out position. And then all we need to really do is move J.R. Redmond out or Flowers to be our 4th receiver. Well, move him out there, but they got to catch it. Delvon Flowers has made some big plays, but that's not one of them.
The way they've been rotating their backs, they're keeping them fresh. Redmond just getting a rest. And here again, Flowers drops a catchable ball.
You know, you might think that taking time off from the routine of the regular season workouts, you know, you get into a routine. You go to practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and you have those plays repetitious day after day, and you get a little bit out of sync. But really, there's no excuse for that. You've got to watch the football in.
So it's 3rd down and 10 for the Sun Devils. Long count by Goodman. Pressure coming. Robbins with a sack. Fred Robbins, 6'5", 320 pounds. Boy, he moves well for a guy that size.
Boy, he really does. And here's a guy who, I don't know how he's only 2nd team All-ACC. He started 40 straight games, and watch him come. Tim, you mentioned his size. He can move for a guy over 300 pounds. Arizona State trying to come backside that time. They were running a little combo route. He was a wide receiver and had no chance.
So Fred Robbins gets his 6th sack of the year. He's a guy that's been selected to play in the Hula Bowl January 22nd, so he'll come back to the Islands. And Nick Murphy comes on to punt.
Nick Murphy is lucky that there was no block on that time because he bobbled that snap.
Doesn't get off a good kick.
No.
Goes out of bounds at right around midfield. So Reggie Austin never had a chance to return it. 7:01 to play in the 1st half. We're still tied.
We're the Wake Forest football staff. Aloha! Merry Christmas!
That's good, right?
7:01 to play in the 1st half. We're still tied after the punt by Murphy went 24 yards. Wake Forest has terrific field position up by midfield. Everybody enjoying the game. Sun and the fun in football right here in Oahu. First down for the Demon Deacons. The option. Kane breaks one tackle and gets back maybe to the line of scrimmage. That's it. Eric Flowers made the tackle there. Flowers, the junior college transfer, one of the Pac-10's best defensive ends.
This play made defensively by strong safety Willie Daniel. He comes off his block right there, keeps his feet. That's the critical thing, and turns that one back in. All you need to do is slow that option play down a little bit, and it gives your team time to pursue defensively.
Arizona State takes a timeout.
Yeah, they didn't like what they saw there. A little confused, and that was a wise call. Plenty of them left. 3 and 2.
What a job Bruce Snyder is doing. He's wrapping up his 8th season as head coach at Arizona State University, second only to Frank Kush in wins at Arizona. And although it was a roller coaster ride of a season for him, what a way to end the season here in Hawaii.
Yeah, his guys could have folded the 10 a couple of times this season. They were up and down, and in a year when the Pac-10 conference was down overall, his club was actually in the toilet for a little bit, and then they were talking Rose Bowl for a while, and they end up in sunny Honolulu.
Dustin Lyman leaving the field. He's got that leg injury. Hey, a reminder coming up tomorrow on ESPN, the NFL's leading rusher, Stephen Davis, and the Washington Redskins look to stay on top of the NFC East. As a matter of fact, if Davis plays, which will be sparingly because of his injured ankle, Skip Hicks will go. And if the Redskins win, they are in the playoffs. Then on Monday night on ABC, Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins looking to get into the playoffs. But first, they've got to defeat the New York Jets. That's Monday Night Football coming up on ABC Sports, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on ABC Sports. Big game for the Redskins.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
It is. You're up in the Washington area, and I follow the Cowboys pretty closely, and they're struggling right now. And I don't know that there's any coaching change on the horizon. Chan Gailey's a good man, but everybody keeps talking about Norv Turner. What's up with him? Is he going to be in Washington?
Well,
Dallas?
Jerry Jones came out and said that he has not even contacted Norv, has not talked to Norv about the situation. I know yesterday's loss to the Cowboys was devastating, although mathematically have not been eliminated.
Right.
Certainly it hurts their playoff chances, and to be honest, they aren't good enough to get into the playoffs. And Chan Gailey is said to be on the way out. Norv Turner could be the replacement coming in, and I don't think Daniel Snyder's going to keep Norv in Washington. Here's a sack by Arizona State. Unk came through cleanly, unblocked, and hit Sankey.
Well, there was a lot of player movement there. Speaking of the NFL, there was a lot of player movement before that snap. 5 players and 6, if you count the quarterback moving back, moved before the snap, trying to confuse Arizona State. And I think what happened is that Wake Forest was a little confused. They did not pick up the blitzing Unk, and Mason makes another nice play.
So it'll be 3rd down and forever for the Demon Deacons. They need 18 for the first.
Hey, that's a pretty good name for a linebacker, isn't it? Mason Unk.
Unk. Sankey out of the shotgun. No blitz this time, just a 3-man rush, so they go underneath the Kane. Kane gets back to the original line of scrimmage. Hope he wasn't ahead in that helmet.
Wake, not a good team on 3rd and long. They're not a vertical team up and down, so defensively, what do? You sit back in zone, and you say, guys, tackle. And that's exactly what happened defensively. Phil Snow's bunch for Arizona State doing a nice job there.
So James McPherson will come on to punt, his longest of the year, 55 yards. Has not come close to that today. J.R. Redmond, you look at him there, standing inside the 15.
Brad Smith snapping. He's one of them out with the flu, or was supposed to be out, but he's at least able to stay in long snap.
Pretty good snap.
Watch your head!
High tail wagger. Redmond will fair catch this one at the 17. Aloha, Mela Kalikimaka. Aloha Haki Hiki Ho from Hawaii. Made in just one visit. Aloha Stadium in the Halava area of Oahu. Aflac trivia question: who has the longest run by a quarterback in NCAA history?
Wow, you'd think option football. Speaking of that, we have some plays of the decade that we may get in a little bit later and show you some of that. But I think I might know who that is, but it's not an option guy. Huh?
It's not an option guy.
He's not an option guy. Okay, I might be on to something.
Not an option guy. Almost gave it away, and Bruce Clark, our producer, screaming at me. Here's J.R. Redmond out to the 20.
Late hit. Bonus yardage there, and Arizona State's trying to get out of its end zone, and they get a gift from Wake Forest. And that'll allow them to do a few more things with the playbook here. With a new quarterback in, you're kind of restricted with what you can do. Good look at the 3rd quarterback there, Cooper. Matt Cooper on the sideline.
Looks like Flag Day in Hawaii. Looks like Scott Peters. A guilty party. So they move him back to about the 10.
Personal foul on the offense. Half the distance to the goal line. 2nd down.
Scott Peters is a sophomore. He's number 53 in the middle. See 53, that's Peters.
That's very late. I mean, really late.
He was a freshman All-American, very talented guy, very aggressive, but there he lost his composure a little bit.
Yeah, I thought it was the other way, and it ends up Peters definitely was the problem there.
So it's second down and 18. Out they go to Heap. Boy, they've had Heap bottled up in the first half here.
They've given him no room. And, you know, you take care of the team's major threat, and then you have a quarterback that is restricted in what he can do, you have a good chance of slowing down an offense. This is only Heap's second reception. 13 yards on the day, and Carpenter doing a great job on him. They've had him doubled.
And we said coming in that he was a big part of the Arizona State game plan.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's why the Sun Devils have just 3 points. Third down and 10. Redmond at tailback. Redmond the carrier. And Redmond taken down immediately.
Seems to be and is a conservative call with 4:20 to go in the half. Keep in mind, if you're an Arizona State fan, you've got a quarterback who's not on fire, and you have a defense that is very aggressive. You don't want to give up the interception and go into the locker room losing momentum and going in behind. And you never know. Those 3rd and 10 type plays like that, whether they're draws or handoffs, sometimes you open up a seam and give a good back room, and he'll make something.
So Nick Murphy will be standing at his own 5. This is a dangerous play for Arizona State. Reggie Austin out at the 40, so Wake Forest stands to get excellent field position with 3:45 to go in the half. Oh, this is a good kick. This will take Austin all the way back to the 33. Austin breaks one tackle. I thought he called for a fair catch. Now goes all the way back to the 15 and has run out of bounds inside the 15.
I guess sometimes having that much speed can be a problem because you just think you can outrun everyone. And he's one of the members of that 4x100 relay team that set the record out there in the ACC.
I thought he called for a fair catch, although it was half-hearted. He made the effort, and that should be a penalty.
Should be a penalty, but Arizona State actually, there it is. Arizona State actually comes out better.
It was a 49-yard punt. He loses 18 on the return and gets shaken up at the end of it.
So other than that, it was a nice return, huh?
Reggie Austin, a 5'11", 174-pound senior. His last college football game for Wake Forest. Here's Kane out to the 18. Well, coming up at halftime, National Car Rental halftime report, and we will be right here at Aloha Stadium. Also, Brent Musburger takes a terrific look at Virginia Tech and the chemistry they have there, and we'll have a Hawaiian Christmas story for you. It's all coming up in the National Car Rental halftime report.
You mentioned the seniors on this club, and there are 23 fifth-year seniors. I've never seen that before. 23 fifth-year seniors, 27 in all for Coach Caldwell's club in Wake Forest.
Second down, Kane again. Not enough for the first.
And when we visited with him the other night, we were saying, how do you do that? That's kind of a problem next year coming back, replacing these guys. And part of the reason that they have that many of those, they don't have any attrition. They get good kids. They don't get kicked out of school. They graduate. And you see that those good kids haven't done much offensively after that first drive. But this guy is a man of integrity, Coach Caldwell.
See a lot of empty seats here at Aloha Stadium today. Keep in mind, this is a doubleheader, the only in college football, and it'll start filling up as the day goes on. 1 ticket, 2 games, not a bad deal. This pass over the middle, it's complete to Lick. Lick is out to the 29. That'll be enough for the first. They'll move the chains. Tough to get them off the beach for both games, all of both games.
Yeah, it really is. Lick's caught him a couple today. His quarterback's the one who took a lick on that one, but Sankey hung in there and threw a strike. They'd like to take it down in this short amount of time. They're not a quick strike team.
And it doesn't look like they're in a hurry as we go under 2 minutes to play in the first half. Wake Forest has all 3 of its timeouts.
They like to run quarterback draw a lot from this. This is a 4-wide set, their A set.
Instead, they go straight ahead. Kane gets up 2. About that Aflac trivia question. You want to take a guess? Who has the longest run by a quarterback in NC2A history?
Mine, I don't know. Mine's coming out of left field. You're going to have to do an Arizona State or Wake Forest quarterback. So I go Arizona State. And for some reason, I think Mark Malone ran about 90-something yards. Ran a long way.
M squared. You're right, Mark Malone.
98.
That was against Utah State back in 1979. Mark's getting old.
He is not. He is, and he does a great job.
2nd down and 8. A lot of pressure back there. And Sankey goes down.
Hey, if he's getting old, I know a couple of other guys standing up here that are getting pretty old, huh?
Willie Daniel was the guy that gets credit for the sack. That'll be his first sack of the year. This is the kind of game that Wake Forest likes.
Yeah, right.
Low score, melt the clock, shorten the game. And Arizona State takes a timeout. So that's the second for the Sun Devils. They'll have 1 timeout remaining. Well, ABC is the place to be on New Year's Day for college football. It's a triple header. We talked about a double header. ABC's got a triple for you. Michigan State battles Florida State. That's in the .com Florida Citrus Bowl. Then at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific, the BCS kicks off. Heisman winner Ron Dane in Wisconsin. That should be a terrific game against Stanford. Then in prime time, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, Alabama, the SEC champion, and Michigan in the FedEx Orange Bowl. It's all part of Super January on ABC Sports, home of the Bowl Championship Series. We're taking you week by week through college football, and we'll take you all the way to New Orleans and the national title.
Well, and you and I just cannot wait after this ball game is over to head out to Tempe. Man, what a great game that Fiesta Bowl shapes up to be, doesn't it?
Tennessee and Nebraska.
Wow. There's a lot of talent on that field. I don't know how the talent would match up if you combine both of those teams with the 2 teams playing for the national championship. They wouldn't be too far behind. I mean,
they will go after this game like it is the national championship. They are the last 2 winners of the title, and certainly they both believe that a couple plays away from being there again.
Well, Nebraska, particularly going into that game, trying to set up next year's run at a national championship. They return a lot of players, and they think if they win here, it keeps the momentum going, and they go in ranked very high and have a great run at it. And Tennessee's just stockpiled. Phil Fulmer's just done a terrific job there.
A lot of speed on both teams. 3rd down and 15 here from Wake Forest. Sankey with a long count changes a play. Calls the quarterback draw. Sankey's out to the 37. Will come up short of the 1st down. Stephen Trejo will get credit for the tackle.
And that is what we talked about a moment ago. That's part of the game plan. That's if you can get the 1st down, go ahead and get it. But if not,
Arizona State takes its last timeout with 44 seconds left. So the Sun Devils trying to get the ball and trying to get some points on the board before we go to the house. We'll be back. Merry Christmas, everybody, from Hawaii. A good look at the Arizona State cheerleaders. James McPherson is back to punt. He has not had a good afternoon. He averages just over 38 yards, and he's had a punt of 33, 37, and 33. So J.R. Redmond might get a chance to return here. The Sun Devils have used all their timeout, Dean, to get the ball back and try to get a field goal on the board.
Well, they came with a punt block that time, and obviously did not get there. Almost a foul there, a penalty. But either way, Arizona State gets it back 40 to go, and I would expect them to continue to play fairly conservative with the quarterback situation.
That's a terrible error by J.R. Redmond.
Got to catch
Never let the ball hit the ground in the punting game. They can't hit you until you make the catch, and certainly the defender had already gone to his knee because he had gone into the halo area.
Punt returning has gotten so it's much different than the way it used to be. You have players catching balls when you think they shouldn't, and players not catching balls when they should, and there's a good example.
Arizona State has no timeouts left. 39 seconds to work. Over the middle they go, and there's another ball that's catchable and dropped. Richard Williams should have had it.
Well, and Goodman has found a little bit of rhythm. He had a couple of bad plays early. The first pass that was thrown was a duck, and then he dropped the snap. He'll blame that perhaps on the center. So he has overcome some of those things and thrown a couple of pretty good strikes.
I'll tell you this one, Williams has been on a tear the last 3 games. 15 receptions, 3 touchdowns, 296 yards in just those 3 games. And he's caught a pass in every game. Needs one in this one yet. 35 seconds to play. And that might do it. J.R. Redmond taken to the ground by Robbins and Shackelford, and We're down to 24 seconds. Arizona State has no way to stop the clock. With the throw, he does to Heap, and Heap is just drilled. Adrian Duncan hit him for the second time in the first half, and he feels that one.
Well, that's a fitting way to end this half because Heap has not been a factor. Total non-factor in this first half in a game where the defense is dominated against Heap from the Wake Forest side.
Well, not a lot of scoring. Wake Forest 3, Arizona State 3. Right now, let's go down to Leslie Goodell with Jim Caldwell.
Coach, just the way you like it. Low scoring, lots of defense. Are you happy with what you've seen so far?
Well, we're certainly pleased with the way our defense is playing. They're playing awfully hard, but we're not doing a very good job offensively. Just the basic fundamentals of blocking and getting that ball up the field. So we got to get better, obviously, on that side of the ball.
What do you tell these guys at the half?
Well, the big thing is we just got to execute better. That's the bottom line.
Great. Thanks a lot. Best of luck in the second half. Tim?
All right, Leslie, thank you. Tied at half. We'll be back here at Aloha Stadium for the halftime, the National Car Rental Half. A look at Virginia Tech, a Hawaiian Christmas story. That's all coming up. ABC Sports presentation of college football will return after this message and a word from our ABC station. Back in Aloha Stadium in Oahu, we are at halftime. It's Wake Forest 3, Arizona State 3. Right now, let's take you down to Leslie Goodell.
All right, I'm here with Coach Snyder. Coach, what did you tell these guys you want to see in the second half?
Well, Leslie, we did not play very well. Our defense actually played pretty well for the most part, and we kicked okay. But we need to just change our tempo. Our tempo is not very good. I don't think we're blocking very well. We're not running with authority, so we've got a lot of work to do.
Are we going to see John Leonard?
I think you will, yeah. We just need to play better, though, as a team. That's what's really going to do it.
Thanks, Coach. Best of luck in the second half. Back to the booth.
All right, Leslie, thank you. John Leonard was warming up just moments ago. He looks pretty sharp again. We reiterate, he had that food poisoning last night. He had some IVs before the ball game. They say he's feeling better, and you can see the way he's loosening up. It looks like indeed he'll play, but it'll have to wait because Wake Forest will have it first. This will be Caldwell about 5 yards deep. They'll down it there, and they'll bring it out to the 20. Take a look at the Morgan Stanley Dean Winter first half statistics.
Total yards, we have almost a double there in the one turnover. Arizona State fortunate to get out tied at halftime, but I think what we saw was some unaggressive play calling. I thought we saw some unaggressiveness there late in the half. An example of Wake Forest could have called timeout to force the punt from Arizona State. They chose not to, and I think that's kind of the mindset of this game so far.
Sankey's still the quarterback for Wake Forest. Morgan Kane the leading rusher. First down, Demon Deacons. As we start the second half in Hawaii, it's Kane straight ahead, and he picks up 3. So Morgan Kane now up about 60 yards on the afternoon.
He's a guy that gets stronger, not a flashy player, but he eventually wears people down. And there are the numbers on the afternoon for Wake Forest offensively. Sankey, good numbers. Kane, 57 there, and those are their 3 playmakers. But those numbers don't get too many points.
Second down, so they swing it out. Here's Kane on the little swing pass, and he's out to the 29-yard line. Be about a yard short of the first down. So it'll bring up 3rd down and 1.
Tim, you know, Jim Caldwell has a different philosophy than most people. In today's age of offensive sophistication, most people think you push, you go, you spread the field, you score 40 points. His is a little bit different. I think sometimes it's because of the players in his system. But he's found a way to win.
He certainly has done that. I know he entered this season vowing to improve the running game, and Wake went from 65 yards a game last in the Atlantic Coast Conference to 176 and up to 3rd place in the conference. So tremendous improvement there. 3rd down and 1. Here's Kane. Kane hit immediately. He's not going to make it. Morgan Kane ran into Courtney Jackson, and they came up about a yard short. Courtney Jackson, first team all Pac-10, and making his 35th straight start in the secondary this afternoon. So James McPherson comes on, and he'll have to punt it away for the Demon Deacons. Jim Caldwell not happy with that.
Well, we mentioned maybe the game turning on a defensive play. Maybe it turns on a kicking game play, and Redmond certainly is one of the guys who can make things happen in that department.
McPherson's longest punt today is only 38 yards. J.R. Redmond standing at his own 30. is a little bit better. Redmond will take this one on the run. And Arizona State will start with excellent field position out near the 40-yard line. So it was a 40-yard punt, 8-yard return. And with 12:45 to play in the third quarter, Arizona State will have the football. It looks like they'll start with Griffin Goodman. Griff went all the way in the first half.
Well, I think some of the thinking had to be that if you change quarterbacks, you go with John Leonard, and here's a guy that is kind of a fiery guy. He's not a thrower, and sometimes he'll make an erratic mistake, and that's one of the reasons they were hesitant about making the play, but they may have to with more plays like that.
Fred Robbins with a hit on J.R. Redmond and a loss on the play. Robbins, the defensive leader, he gets doubled a lot. His dad's 6'9", he's 6'5", 320.
Yeah, he's the little guy. He's only he's only 320. This time, it doesn't matter if he's 320 or 220. He comes through untouched. Busted assignment, second and long.
Call it 12. Redmond bounces to the outside, but he's ridden out of bounds by Adrian Duncan, and not much on that play.
Arizona State just didn't do anything in the first half. Right there, 3 receptions, 16. And so that's the concern. They've got to get the quarterback play to open things up. They've got to be able to balance the offense. Right now, it's very balanced. Neither one of them is very good.
But give the defenses credit.
Absolutely.
Both defenses have really played well today. Very aggressive. Just don't expect a 3-3 game in a bowl game. Third down and forever, more pressure and the sack. First, the pressure came from Bowling. And then Geis finished things off.
Well, I think what you might see happen here is Griffin Goodman may have to go take a seat and give way to John Leonard, the more mobile quarterback. But this is, again, a play where the offensive line's not doing its part. You can't you can't bust an assignment. That's 2 plays out of 3 that they busted an assignment up front. Doesn't work.
Here's one of the stars of the game, Nick Murphy. He's got a 50-yard putt, 2 49-yard punts. And he shanked one, but 3 punts up around 50 yards is pretty hefty, especially in a tight game like this. Here comes pressure, and Wake Forest got to it. That ball was touched and blocked. Come on, man! Great pressure by Marvin Chalmers, who got a hand on it and blocked it for the Demon Deacons. So it will officially be marked as a 7-yard punt.
Top of your screen, 17 will come around right here. You got to push him out as far as you can. That's a sloppy job because he had no reason, Chalmers, to be able to block that kick. Does a nice job, though, of using the speed that he has as playing wide receiver, getting there. That's the big play in the kicking game they're looking for.
Sunday at 5 on ABC, presented by General Motors.
Been a long day for Santa. Now Santa, after delivering all the toys, helping us with the parade, get some of the sound on the field. Christmas in Hawaii is special. Wake Forest with its best starting position, field position of the afternoon. Tied at 3, 11-17 to play, third quarter. First down, Demon Deacons. This is complete. McDonald out of bounds at the 17-yard line.
Well, they got the defensive adjustment that they wanted. This time, Jim Caldwell's off. He's calling his plays. He is his own offensive coordinator. He makes adjustments before the ball is snapped. Safety comes up, opens up the flat. Nice play call and nice execution.
Correction, that's Merritt. Wake Forest down to the 18. First down, Demon Deacons. If Ben Sankey can get this thing going a little bit. There's Stone. He's got speed. He gets around the corner and is run out of bounds about the 14-yard line by Willie Daniel. John Stone is 5'11", 182 pounds. He's just a sophomore from Linwood, New Jersey. And he runs a 4.240. That's as good as anybody in the NFL. And is the 100-meter champion in the ACC.
Well, Well, he has a school record in both the 100-meter and the 200-meter. Runs it in 20.61, the 200-meter. He can fly, and he's got 3 teammates who have run with him on the championship relay team in the 4x100 out in the ACC.
Mahaley and Kane set behind Sankey. Second down and 6. The option. Kane gets back to the line of scrimmage, and Adam Archuleta chases him down there.
Pitch a little bit behind Kane that time, but Archuleta on the corner and had it under control. And I think what you're seeing Arizona State doing today is that at this point in the game, they are crowding the line of scrimmage. They basically have 9 players within a couple of yards of the line of scrimmage. I think they're going to shut down a lot of the running game, but the concern for them is that if they have an offensive player bust through, he can go all the way.
Those numbers are pretty good. They need 6. All time. Plenty of time for Sankey. Inside the 10 to the 9. He'll be close to the first down depending on the mark. That's a first down. Ben Sankey had tons of time.
Yeah, that's the one thing that he brings that no other quarterback in this game can bring. And he can buy time, and if he doesn't see it there, he doesn't force the ball. Doesn't force it here. He knows he has to pick up the first down, and he barely gets it. Good job, Coons, by the way, 18 making the stop. He has replaced Al Williams, who tried to go with a food poisoning. He's a terrific hitter at free safety, but Coons has gone the majority of the way.
Wake Forest's biggest threat since their first possession in the first quarter. First and goal. Sankey trips and stumbles ahead for 1. Ryan Riley was here. Big old Ryan Riley, 6'2", 312 pounds.
Big enough. The turf playing pretty big now. It's tackled 2 players here in the last minute. You know, a touchdown here is so important for Wake Forest because of the low score. I mean, they're looking to get to 20 or 21 points. 7 is huge. I mean, in a game like this, a touchdown seems like it is a miracle. So this is a big series for them the next couple of plays.
Chris McCoy checks in at tailback now. It's second and goal from the 7. That's Chalmers in motion. Sankey looks to Chalmers, and it's almost picked off. My goodness, Jackson almost had it. Probably should have had it. It definitely would have been 6.
Courtney Jackson had his chance for fame, and he's a guy that loves the spotlight. He jumps this route right there. Keep your eye on it. Take a second look at it, and this is a delightful young guy here, Tim, and if he picks this off, he undoubtedly is going to go 100 yards for the touchdown. And he's a quality player. I mean, he's an all Pac-10 player.
And then Chalmers had his hands on it, and that would have been a short touchdown for Wake. Third down and goal. Looks like Sankey checking off. Looks across the middle. There's Chalmers. He drops another one. That ball was perfectly thrown, and Marvin Chalmers should have had it.
7 is so much more important than 3, and there's your chance. That's a 4-point drop by Wake Forest. Chalmers on the post route. Clark is beaten on the play, and Tim, as you mentioned, this ball perfectly thrown by Sankey. And we've had, I don't know, 6 or 7 different drops today, none bigger than that one.
This will be a 24-yard attempt for Matthew Burdick. He made one from 22, he missed from 47, and he makes this one. So the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest take the lead with 9:18 to play in the third quarter.
From Diamond Head down to Waikiki, you can hear Santa say, ho, ho, Honolulu, it's a Honolulu holiday.
Give him the lead.
Well, Bruce Snyder is, I'm thinking he's going to make a quarterback change at this point, and he's got to do something to get his offense sparked.
I really thought, Dean, he'd come out with John Leonard to start the second half the way he mentioned his name to Leslie Goodell, and then we saw him warming up, and he looks pretty good. Although he had food poisoning last night, he had IVs and looks to be okay.
Yeah, I think the food poisoning is an issue. You remember the last time we had a game where a quarterback was sick, it was Major Applewhite, and he did not play very well, and Texas subsequently lost at Texas A&M.
This one flies all the way out of the end zone for a touchback. They'll bring it out to the 20. The Jeep Aloha Bowl on ABC Sports is brought to you by Chrysler. It will never land on an ordinary car. Morgan Stanley Dean Winter. We measure success one investor at a time. The U.S. Army. Be a part of the toughest, smartest Army in the world. Be all you can be. And by Nike.
Let's go!
9:13 to play, third quarter. We're at the Aloha Bowl in Oahu, Hawaii.
John Leonard, the man.
Leonard is the quarterback. Ryan Ray almost got him. But John Leonard now is 1 for 1 as he completes the pass to Terrell Smith.
You're right, and it's a confidence builder, and he almost was caught from behind, and you see a smile there. This guy is a fiery competitor. He is a great runner. You saw a little bit of spark there. He has that acceleration that maybe the others don't. His weakness, though, obviously hasn't played, but his decisions. I think that's what it came down to. It was a neck-and-neck decision for Bruce Snyder determining which quarterback to go with. But they decided to go with the other one because of the decisions, and he does have a noticeable limp here.
Yeah, I think Brian Ray may have nicked him a little bit. J.R. Redmond off the right corner picks up one tough yard. So Goodman leaves the ball game. 6 for 11, 33 yards. He did have that one fumble. And John Leonard comes in. He's now 1 for 1. They need a boost, too. They need something to get them going offensively.
Well, open it up just a little bit. If this is the guy to do it, one of the reasons that Bruce Snyder was reluctant to make the changes that he thinks that this is a little bit more of a risk. He may produce more turnovers. He also may produce more big plays.
Third down and 3. Redmond, first down. Still on his feet across the 40. Look out. J.R. Redmond inside the 40 to the 35-yard line. Wake was very conscious of the fact that Arizona State can score quickly and they can have big plays on you after holding them most of the game. J.R. Redmond gets one there.
Sometimes just a little spark, a little change at quarterback can do a ton of good. I think that's what you're seeing here. You're also seeing this getting sealed off on the outside. Great job by the right tackle that time of sealing it off. Look at the cutback ability of this guy. J.R. Redmond can play.
So a gain of 38. Takes it all the way down to the 35. Redmond now 15 carries and 76 yards. DeLon Parrish somehow lost his shoe.
Timeout. Wake Forest.
I think breaking the
First one
huddle.
and a half.
Somebody stepped on the back of his foot. Let's go downstairs. Here's Leslie.
Guys, Al Williams just came back in. He's been in since the half getting an IV, and the trainer asked him just to let him know when he was ready to go in. He doesn't look real good, though, but he's back out here on the field.
Well, Al Williams has been spotted by Craig Kuntz. Of course, he is the free safety for Arizona State, and Al Williams is a really good player. I mean, these injuries that they have sustained, they've had the injuries throughout the season, Tim. Then they have the quarterback go out at the end of the year with yet another injury. Then they have the food poisoning, so they've been going uphill, and Al Williams is yet another one.
Well, the problem started earlier in the week. They were renting those mopeds here in Oahu, and one of the trainers had an accident and broke his ankle. You know, so even the trainer's banged up.
I've done this game 4 times, and you've done it more. Mopeds have made it into the telecast virtually every time I've done it. Nothing against you moped people out there, but if I was part of one of these teams, I wouldn't have you messing with mopeds.
These guys have done a little bit of everything, rock climbing and mopeds, and I know they spent time on the beach.
It's a great place to be.
My daughters have noticed every one of them.
Well, I bet that goes both ways.
First down and 10 for the Sun Devils. Redmond again. Big hole. Redmond still loose to the 21. Correction, Gerald Green. They did it again to me.
Gerald Green's a little guy. I mean, I can see how he could sneak in. He's listed at 5'9", probably only about 5'7", but he's a darter. He's the turf guy. And he'll tell you, so you got 2 fresh guys here coming in. You got Leonard, the quarterback, and Green, and he darts right through the middle. All he needs is a little crease. He finds it, and team in red's moving.
Gerald Green, I bet you he's not even 5'9".
Yeah, no, I don't think he is.
He's got quick feet, though. This time he can't escape.
Robbins is playing a heck of a game, Tim. 90 in white. We've called his number a lot. Fred Robbins is a terrific football player, and at 310, 320, he moves extremely well.
He got there first. Kelvin Moses got there. Moses, the pace setter on defense, too. You know, Moses was a 4-4 guy before he hurt his knee. He said he even got faster after that. He was a wide receiver, now middle linebacker.
Well, he also was a 42-inch vertical leap guy, and at 230 pounds, that's pretty good.
More pressure for Leonard, and he throws it away.
Hey, that's well defended. You see who that is right there? That is Kelvin Moses, 49. You talk about a terrific young guy. He's been granted a 6th year of eligibility, and he's taken advantage of it. And, you know, it's been that long since they've been to a bowl game, so it's been great to see him, Moses, lead them back to the promised land.
Sat out all last year with that knee injury, as you mentioned. Boy, he had that interception against Joe Hamilton. He does have some quicks.
Big play here. Big play. And 3rd and 3, you normally go to Heap. Heap is right there. And they're looking for it.
Leonard is flushed out again, and this time he goes down, sacked from behind by Moses and Brian Ray.
Wake Forest wins that battle. Defense wins again. They got the pressure they wanted from Ray, and they doubled up the tight end. Didn't have a chance to get to him, and they'll have to settle for an attempt to tie for 3.
So Brian Ray gets his 11th sack of the year. A bit undersized, but oh, is he quick, strong, and fearless.
Offense just hadn't made the plays, Tim.
Mike Barth comes on. He's 1 for 1 today. His first ever field goal. He made it from 46. This is from 42. Strong leg. And it's off to the left. Just missed.
He pulled it a little bit. I was thinking that he's had some problems when getting balls high enough. And sometimes when you try to kick it higher, you tend to pull the ball left.
He blasted that one and just missed. Coming up tomorrow, the ISU Grand Prix of Figure Skating continues with the last event before the final. Oh my, we're talking about Timothy Gable made history by landing 3 quads in the program at Skate America. Now he looks to qualify for the Grand Prix final. Faces the world's elite skaters as the road to the gold continues. The NHA Trophy, that's tomorrow at 3 Eastern, 2 Pacific on ABC Sports.
Partner, we just had a fullback stunt, and Mr. Unk just got him another hunk. 52 is playing an outstanding football game.
It'll be 2nd down and 10. Big, strong offensive line for Wake Forest. Across that front, they're 300 pounds, 320, 302, 310, and 320. Corn-fed and hand-spanked. The quick out, complete. All the way out to the 39-yard line. Fabian Davis. His first catch of the day and 7th of the year.
That time Davis and Wake Forest able to take advantage of a soft corner. Haven't seen them take advantage of it much today, but the corner was off 10 yards and they were able to run a short curl route.
Only 9 points scored in the game, but the last 2 drives we've seen some offense from both clubs. Here's McCoy. McCoy almost busted out of there. Takes it out for a 5-yard gain.
Well, they bring McCoy in to spell Morgan Kane some, and this is what he does best. He bounces off of people, and at about 5'6" and 220 pounds, he is literally a bowling ball. Watch him right through the gut here. Bounces off that attempted tackle and picks up positive yardage. Well, he's not literally a bowling ball. He runs like a bowling ball.
McCoy's first carry. This Sankey now 10 for 17, 109 yards, and will probably throw here. 2nd down and long. He's got a lot of company and throws incomplete. That ball was intended for Merritt.
The pressure of Arizona State on the quarterback all afternoon has kept Sankey out of rhythm. And that's the way they play. That's the way they coach defense. And Mason Unk has been all over the ball all afternoon. But Phil Snow believes in pressuring the quarterback, and they do a very, very good job of it. They're doing a very good job despite having probably their best 2 players out. We mentioned the big defensive tackle, but also Solomon Bates, an outstanding 17-year-old linebacker, is not playing.
3rd down and 5. Drilled across the middle. This is complete. Look out. See ya. Touchdown, Wake Forest. Jimmy Caldwell, the son of the coach.
When you gamble with 9 men on the line of scrimmage. We mentioned it earlier. The short plays go for long ones, and this time that's exactly what happens in the pass game.
56 yards, the longest pass of the season. Caldwell makes his 20th catch, his first touchdown, and the oldest son of Coach Caldwell is awfully proud now. Matthew Burdick splits the sticks, adds the extra point. That's worth another look.
And watch Sankey drill this ball in there. If you beat the safety, you got 6. Zip it in, and he's off to the races. And that 10-point lead looks mighty nice right now to the folks from Wake Forest.
We'll be back. Wake Forest coach Jim Caldwell takes a 10-point lead, so he's happy and very, very proud, because Jimmy Caldwell, the oldest son of the coach, had a 56-yard catch and run for the touchdown. His first, by the way. So Tyler Ash set the kickoff. Melvin Flowers and Gerald Green are standing near the goal line. No chance for Flowers. It goes out of the back of the end zone. They'll bring it out to the 20, touchback. Well, don't forget, coming up tomorrow, ESPN Sports Century's 50 Greatest Athletes counts down to number 1. Who will it be? Sports Century presented by General Motors. Top athletes tomorrow at 5 Eastern, 4 Pacific.
Well, you can throw them in a hat. You know, they're each, you can build your own case for any of the 4 that are there at the end, with Jim Brown and Ali and Jordan and Babe Ruth.
I say it's going to be Michael Jordan. Here's Leonard, 3-step drop and throws the quick out to Heap. Incomplete.
All over him was a linebacker. Smith was all over him. Arizona State now down 10, 4:10 to go here in the third. This game, you know, Wake Forest is a team that will like to make that, to ground that clock out. And Bruce Snyder, before he knows it, it'll be late for the fourth quarter. They've got to make something happen.
Arizona State is a team that scores late anyway. Arizona has not scored in the first quarter, 6 of 11 games, just 27 points the entire year in the first quarter. But they've come from behind in 4 other games. Richard Williams out to the 24. Carpenter tripped him up.
Yeah, he did. And they've done a nice job of tackling today. They've done the physical stuff. Inside, you've seen Robinson. That was a great example of shoestring tackling. Down on the feet by Carpenter.
So to bring up 3rd down and 5.
Now, this is the quarterback that does some things with his feet. He runs. We'll see if they bring that element into the game.
Haven't heard McDonald's name called much today. They go to Heath. The ball's up in the air, almost picked off. Pretty good coverage by David Moore and Carpenter, the safeties. The ball was a little high for Heath.
Yeah, and Heath's 6'5". He jumps well, so that tells you that ball was really high and should have probably been intercepted. Heath very frustrated. He'll come down, curl in the middle of your picture.
Watch 29 Walter Simmons here. Just out of his reach.
He was open on that one. He's been covered most of the day, but he should have had that and had the first down had the ball been thrown better.
Nick Murphy's had a pretty good day, but he did have his last one blocked. Been averaging right around 49 yards. This one has some pressure, and this one is shanked.
They're not a good punting team. A net punting number of 35.5. You know, we talked earlier about Wake's rushing ability this year. Jim Caldwell, I think last year, said, you know what, offensive coordinator out, I'm going to be the guy to run the show. If I'm going to go down, it's going to be my way. We're going to run it this year. Look at this number here, plus 110%. That's a remarkable turnaround from one year to the next. 110.
He told us that was going to be the focal point of the year. He said entering the season, they vowed to improve the running game. And you're right, he took over as offensive coordinator. They went from 65 yards a game last in the conference to 176 yards a game, third in the conference. First down, Wake Forest. The option. Sankey with the keeper. Around the corner, has the first down. Sankey inside the 25. Ben Sankey. Showing his mobility and some speed for the big guy. 6'3", 209-pound senior.
Why are fullbacks important? Watch right here. Watch the fullback block here. Mahaley, perfect job. That opens up the alley, and you go to the short side of the field, and it can work. People always want to know why you run option into the boundary. Well, if you execute it, it works, especially if you get a great block like that from Mahaley.
He's a load, too, 6'2", 232 pounds, and he's a youngster, redshirt freshman. A gain of 23, so they move the chains down to the 21. Sankey again to the 15-yard line. Ben Sankey.
And this is tough on the Arizona State defense because they are not getting any help from the offense, and they are thin. They don't have the luxury, the way Wake Forest does, of playing 20 players out here today. It's hot. Arizona State doesn't have the players. They're getting down. If they give up a touchdown here, Tim, that bumps that lead out there. That's going to be tough. And Phil Snow knows he has to pull out all the stops.
There's a look at Phil. Sankey now 10 carries, 37 rushes. And you can see the heat rising from the turf. Second down and 4. Sankey again. Picked off. It was intended for Chalmers. It was tipped. And Courtney Jackson comes up with his 8th career interception.
Well, I'm surprised they throw the ball here, although this is not a low percentage pass. They knew this was going to be open. Chalmers hooks up downfield about 8 yards. You've got to be able to throw and catch that one, but you get pressure on the quarterback. A tip ball goes up, and now Arizona State's back in it. Even though it's a low percentage, I mean, even though it's a high percentage pass, I don't think you call that play.
You know, Wake Forest last year turned the ball over 32 times. They improved this year and had only 16 turnovers all year. That's their first turnover of this afternoon, but it's a big one. Puts Arizona State, or keeps Arizona State in the ballgame.
Yeah, very big one. Under 2 minutes to go, and now you're still alive. And even if you don't get any points out of this, you give it back to them, and they're not threatening to score.
Gerald Green picks up 5 yards. Chalmers, very animated, certainly emotional, and upset with what just took place. He's had one of those days. He blocked the punt, then dropped the touchdown, and he tips this one, and it's picked off. There's Green again, off the right tackle for 1.
Well, Chalmers is a little bit hot. He came off the field a moment ago and turned the ball over. He's not very excited about it. Whoa, I didn't know it was that upset. He's going after one of the guys. That's very uncharacteristic of a Wake Forest team, a Wake Forest player.
That's unbelievable. He threw a punch. The quick out by Leonard. It's dropped by Green.
That ball wasn't good enough for a first down anyway. A pass out in the flat with 3rd and 4 would have picked up 3. So an ineffective call and execution. Chalmers, what's he upset about? Would it have been maybe criticism on the interception and him maybe thinking it wasn't a good pass?
Don't know. I know he's frustrated.
Wow.
And he's had that kind of day. You know, somebody said something, maybe it just lit the fuse.
Yeah.
Here comes Chalmers.
Chalmers will line up at the same position he lined up earlier, where he had a deflection on that punt.
See if he can focus, put that emotion into a positive. Nick Murphy has had the last 2, one blocked and the second shanked under pressure. This time they've got the return on.
Right.
And the fair catch made at the 49.
Turnover cost them what, Timmy? 40 yards? So Arizona State unable to take advantage in terms of points, but they do gain 40 yards out of it.
What a job, though, today by the defense of Wake Forest.
Yeah, they have played outstanding. They have really played well for Jim Caldwell and really specifically for James Bell, a coach who's been at it for 20 years. He's been at it 4 years there at Wake Forest, and a guy who wants a head coaching job, and they're not very bashful about talking about it either.
54 seconds left in the third period. We'll see if Wake Forest can capitalize on this field position. First down at the 49. Option. You know, I think Chalmers was going after Sankey. Sankey may have said that you got to make that catch, and Chalmers may have said, wait a minute, you got to throw it.
Yeah, that's what I was suggesting, because that's a ball that you do need to catch, and Chalmers has the high emotions and the.
Now watch this. He's just kind of letting it build inside of him now and fester. Now here we go.
Well, you hate to see that, because it's at the end of long careers, and careers culminating with possibly a good send-off, and they're winning by 10 points, and it could be the last game.
Here's Sankey with a scramble. Sankey's got the first down inside the 40.
You know what, though? Great athletes turn those situations into making good plays. They don't get frustrated and turn them into negatives. They go out more determined and make good plays. There's a good example of it.
Well, they're both seniors, and it has been a long road to get here. Wake Forest has been to only 4 bowls previous to this and haven't been to a bowl game since 1992. So that's the end of the third quarter, with the Demon Deacons holding the lead of 10. ABC Sports presentation of college football will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. A defensive battle being won by Wake Forest. Only 1 touchdown scored this afternoon here at Aloha Stadium. Welcome back, everybody. Tim Brand along with Dean Blevins. Dean, what about these conferences? Specifically, the Pac-10 has taken a lot of hits this year in the type of football they played.
Well, granted, Ryan Keeley is not here for Arizona State, but the fact that ACC, they send a team over that's 5th in the conference, and they're playing pretty well, almost dominating this Pac-10 team. I think it says a lot for the ACC and still extends that to concern for the Pac-10. They're not the conference they've been in the last few years.
Wake Forest just 3-5 within the Atlantic Coast Conference, but again, Florida State playing for the national title in the ACC. Georgia Tech had a terrific year. And Morgan Kane having a terrific ball game. Up to 70 yards now in the afternoon. Let's go downstairs to Leslie.
You know, guys, Morgan Kane has really emerged as a leader on this team, and he's very focused. That's one of the reasons why. As Coach Caldwell told us earlier in the week, when they first got here, Kane said that he realized that they were here having a fun time, but he had work to do. He had had his fun by Monday, not even being here a day, seen what he needed to do, and said, now let's go play some football. So it's hard to get a lot of the guys off the beach, like you said earlier, but Kane's been ready for this all week.
You know, Leslie, he's had that kind of year, too. He really gets focused. He had 224 yards against Georgia Tech. Here he is again, tiptoeing across the line of scrimmage, then spurting ahead for another 2 yards. But he's the guy that came into the game with 1,060 yards this year. He's the first Deacon back to go over 500 yards since John Leach way back in 1993.
Well, he's the whole package. He's a bright young man, bilingual. Very, very polite. You know, when we were visiting with him, I mean, he got up to shake hands. Not many kids get up and do a lot of the things that he did the other day. I thought he was extremely impressive, very articulate young guy.
He's an effective blocker, good hands. He's big, he runs hard. You're right, the full package. Here's the option. Sankey cuts it up to the 22-yard line. Not enough for the first. It'll bring up second down in about 4. Tackle made by Willie Daniel.
Sankey is riding behind Mahaley. Mahaley, the fullback, 32. He'll go after Archuleta. He won't get him on the ground, but he pushes him back far enough that there's positive yardage. So they don't get it blocked exactly the way you draw it up on the blackboard, although they don't use blackboards anymore. But still, they get 5 yards out of it.
Here's a indication in that replay about Archuleta in his lack of size.
Right.
He actually
Good
took
point.
the blow.
Yeah.
Second down and a long 4, almost 5.
Sankey noticing the games up front. Audibles. Good audible.
Kane inside the 10. Kane inside the 5 to the 2. They'll mark him at the 1. Courtney Jackson saved the touchdown, but again, Morgan Kane with an outstanding run.
Yeah, an outstanding blocks up front, too. They knew they had the angle. A great job by Sankey and changing the call. Watch the block, the seal block right there. Terrific job by Michael Collins. And the rest of it is the running, but Kane had some daylight there.
Boy, Courtney Jackson tried to strip the ball first, then went to the turf and just got enough of the foot to prevent the touchdown. First and goal just outside the 1. Kane. Not going to get there. Quincy Yancey got him first, helped by Riley and Britton and Unk.
You know, for Wake Forest not getting in, they want to get in. I mean, you don't call plays on the goal line and not try to score. But in reality, not scoring extends the clock another 30, 35 seconds, and that's exactly the type of game that they want to play.
So it'll be second and goal from just outside the 1. Geese at the bottom of the screen. Merritt at the right. Sankey keeps it. He's not going to make it. And again, you make a terrific point. They still have 2 shots at it, and by not getting in, the clock continues to move down to an 11.5 minutes. This drive has been 8 plays, all runs. Chalmers not in the ball game.
Now, Tim, here is where I say option, and I know you and I have disagreed on this a couple of times this year, but teams like Georgia Tech with Joe Hamilton would love to run option here. We'll see if this team elects to do it or just power it straight ahead.
Behind that line, that power with Kane. Here he is, up and over. Touchdown, Wake Forest.
And you're brilliant, my man.
You're brilliant. Morgan Kane, after we talked about him, he's a star.
Well, and I think you're right here because, as we mentioned from the start, Arizona State's small, they're beat up, they don't have the depth, and so they will get banged around much of the afternoon, and to expect them, line surge here, to expect them to hold a big, strong, powerful offensive line and a big fullback and Kane out of the end zone 3 consecutive plays, it ain't gonna happen.
Kane now 20 carries, 93 yards in the touchdown. The extra point attempt is good.
So not only Wake Forest celebrating, a lot of people out on the East Coast with the ACC. What do you think, ACC man?
Oh, well, I'm kind of betwixt and between. I played in the ACC, but
You're
my son plays in the Pac-10.
UCLA.
20-3, Wake Forest. The Demon Deacons in control.
Hi, this is John Oates from Hall & Oates.
Morgan Kane averages 106 yards a game. He right now is at 93 with 11:11 yet to play. Wake Forest with 17 unanswered points.
Well, and if you've watched Wake Forest play, you'll know that Morgan Kane's going to get a few chances to add to that.
Burdick with a couple of field goals. Jimmy Caldwell with that 56-yard touchdown reception. Morgan Kane with the 1-yard touchdown run, and it's all Wake Forest right now. Tyler Ash with a long kick that goes out of the end zone, and again a touchback. Wake Forest with a strong leg will have Arizona State start at the 20. The Jeep Aloha Bowl on ABC Sports is brought to you by Jeep Grand Cherokee with legendary off-road capability. By Sheridan. Experience the warmth of Sheridan's Waikiki. State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And by National Car Rental. So what are you waiting for? Let's go.
Well, that's what Arizona State fans are saying about their offense and about their tight end, Heath.
John Leonard's looked pretty sharp. Here's the hook and lateral. That's a fumble.
You won't see this very often, Tim.
McDonald tried the lateral to Redmond.
That's a rarity right there.
The hook and lateral?
Well, not that, but the hook and lateral receiver, McDonald, who's a great receiver, catches this, so he's got the Redmond behind it. You're taught if your man is not there, if someone's close to you, don't pitch this ball. But behind, he takes a gamble, throws it behind Redmond, and he comes back with the fumble recovery.
He had Reggie Austin all over his back.
That's the way Wake Forest played defense all afternoon.
2nd and 10. Leonard's pretty sharp here this afternoon. Here's Heath. Maybe they should have gone to Leonard earlier. Leonard now with 4 receptions, or Heath rather, with 4 catches.
Well, and he's the kind of receiver you look out there and you say, oh, he only has 4. It's like he's been a total non-factor. And at this pace, you know, he'll end up with 6 receptions for the game, and you say, man, that was just a horrible game.
4 catches, 30 yards, and John Leonard right on target with the passes. Here's JR. Marquise Hopkins makes the tackle along with Kelvin Jones.
Time will become an issue here pretty quickly for the Sun Devils, down 17 with under 10 minutes to go. They're going to have to do some things in the vertical passing game. I'd love to open it up to Heap, but Wake Forest has just done a terrific job on him all afternoon.
This time Leonard has time to throw and pulls it down and has room to run. Leonard sprints for the first down markers and has a first at the 46.
And that's what he brings this club. That's the added dimension.
John Leonard, all-mission conference from El Camino Community College, junior college transfer.
Heap all by himself. Yeah, but you know what? That's after the quarterback busts loose, and that's after the quarterback sees the chains down there at 10 yards. He knows he can get there and get out of bounds.
Leonard again. Throws over the middle, looks for Heap. Tried to split the 2 deep. You know, Todd Heap, as we talked about, is the golden retriever. He's got that golden hair, and he's such a fine receiver, they call him a retriever. So we asked him, how do you like that nickname, the golden retriever?
I don't know about that nickname. No, I don't mind it. I obviously didn't make it up, but I guess it's kind of stuck. I get a little bit of heat for it from different people, but it's all right. As long as I'm catching balls, I don't care what they call me.
He's a great player. Ball's loose. Wake Forest has it. Gerald Green put it on the ground, and Wake Forest comes up with it. And with 9:12 left to play, Wake Forest certainly in control. Kevin Smith forced the fumble.
Well, that could be a backbreaker. Gerald Green's the turf guy. That time he proves he's the turf guy by putting the ball on the turf, but you get some momentum, you're at midfield, you really need to go score, and then you put it down like this. And this was not one of those, Tim, where you're just belted and somebody gets a helmet on the football. That's one that should have been secured.
It was another one of those plays that was set up well. Leonard threw a nice pass. Green cut behind the blocker. He just lost it. So Ben Sankey, your quarterback, 1st down and 10 in Arizona State territory. They come with a blitz, they run blitz, and here's Kane, and loses a yard. Greg Coons will get credit for the tackle. He's another one of those junior college guys.
Watching Wake Forest play against Georgia Tech when they jumped out to the commanding lead, they were running that clock down. They were, as they would say, milking that clock. But they ran those types of inside plays out of every formation imaginable, and that's what they would like to do here, to stay inbounds, to try to get some positive yardage, to try to let Kane wear people down, let that clock run.
Chris McCoy now the setback. Kane gets a breather. The athletic ability of Ben Sankey. Hits McCoy. McCoy to the 36, and he's got a 1st down.
Off the top, we mentioned the patience and the mobility of Sankey, the quarterback. You see it here. Now they don't go with the conservative call inside, but this is defended well by Yancey. or Flowers rather. Looked like Flowers had him, but buying time with Sankey and gets the dump off. That's a big time play.
Give some credit to McCoy, hanging with him, breaking his pattern, and coming back and letting him know he was available. First down at the 36. Long count by Sankey. Doesn't like something he sees and now calls timeout. So for Wake Forest, that'll be their second timeout. They have one left. 8 minutes remaining. And the Deacons in charge. Christmas in Hawaii. What a day this has been in Oahu.
Forget about the snowstorms, all the talk about Y2K. We're spending our vacation on a Honolulu holiday.
17 Houston, you are go for orbit.
He led the team that sent mankind into space through the triumphant Apollo 11 and the harrowing Apollo 13.
Let's solve the problem.
Flight director Gene Kranz set a standard for excellence that'll never be equaled. His credo, failure is not an option, gave us a future as vast as space itself.
The legacy is to teach people to dream, to set their goals very high, and then never surrender.
State Farm salutes life heroes because State Farm understands life.
Sheraton's Hawaii. Sure Saver rates starting at $155. Call 1-800-782-9488.
Just over the hill from Pearl Harbor, Aloha Stadium in Oahu. Wake Forest 20, Arizona State 3. It's been a great day here weather-wise. Sun continues to shine. Hot for the players, though. Up around 80 degrees and a lot hotter than that down on that turf. Chris McCoy now at tailback. Ben Sankey just wants to melt the clock. Here's McCoy. Good play there by Trejo, the linebacker, number 30. There's a guy that's put on 16 pounds in the last year. He's a 6'3", 250-pound junior.
Yeah, Trejo's had to play all three positions. They've had so many injuries up there, and when Solomon Bates went out, that set them back even more. The 17-year-old freshman we talked about, he's not playing today, but yeah, Trejo's played all the positions.
Solomon, Augustus, Bates, and even Trejo, as you mentioned, had that ankle injury and the shoulder injury and limited him to just 7 games this year.
They have been extremely banged up.
Second down and 11. Sankey on the option. We'll keep this one down to the 36. So he gets back to the original line of scrimmage, maybe picks up a yard. It'll be second down and a long 9, almost 10.
Well defended. Kuntz, Archuleta, 40 will be out there once again in the middle of this. And what I like about the quarterback Sankey is he takes what he can get. Doesn't turn around and do anything silly like going backwards, but that's well defended also by the end Flowers.
Boy, I'll tell you what, though, Archuleta, that was textbook. Inside out, skate, keep your head square, keep your shoulders square, come up and punch.
Well, he's a technician.
Yeah,
you look at that
really
body.
Is. That's a good word for it.
Yeah.
And a good kid. They brought him up at the banquet the other night, and he was part of the performance. He's got 9 tackles here today. Third down and 10. Here's the pass to Deese, and Deese will be close to the first down. Depends on the mark. He says he got it.
Well, every team has some form of a little slip screen in, and that was the form of Wake Forest. It's a high percentage throw, and if you don't tackle them there, sometimes they can go the distance.
Fans want him to go.
Jim Caldwell might be one of the more conservative coaches that I've ever seen, and I don't have a problem with it. I'm a fan of his. I commend the university, the administration, for hanging in there with this guy. I think he's the only coach to have 6 consecutive losing seasons and still keep a job. He's a man of high integrity, a very good football coach, has good people around him.
Well, he sends in Matthew Burdick, who's made it from 22 and 24 yards today. He missed from 47. This is from 43, and it's certainly long enough and good. So a pretty good afternoon from Matthew Burdick from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. 3 for 4, and that was a beauty.
Well, and so what happens is the Caldwell way works. Field position, run the clock, play defense, play to our strengths, and he does that exact same thing here. Takes the 3, and now the game goes out to 23-3, and it could be all but done.
Dean, you know ABC is the place to be on New Year's Day for college football. We got a triple header coming your way. At 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, Michigan State battles Florida in the rhouse.com Florida Citrus Bowl. Then at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific, the BCS kicks off. Heisman winner Ron Dane leads Wisconsin against Stanford in the Rose Bowl, presented by AT&T. Then in prime time, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, SEC champion Alabama faces Michigan in the FedEx Orange Bowl. It's all part of our Super January on ABC Sports, home of the Bowl Championship Series. Of course, we'll be at the Fiesta Bowl with Tennessee and Nebraska.
Ooh, cannot wait for that one. This has been fun to be over here and be a part of this, but always is over in Hawaii, but I literally cannot wait. There's Burdick, by the way. That 3rd field goal ties an Aloha Bowl record. Jeremy Aldridge of Colorado did it last year against Oregon. But cannot wait to get to Tempe for that battle.
This kick has a chance to be returned by Flowers. Instead, he opts to down it and bring it back out to the 20.
You know, you've got Nebraska playing like Nebraska. In fact, you could build a case that they're even more exciting. Crouch does some things offensively at quarterback that, by throwing the ball at his speed, that are just special. And then Tennessee's Tennessee. They still fly around with everyone, and T. Martin's wonderful.
Got Goodman coming back in the ball game, although I thought John Leonard did a nice job while he was in there.
Well, could be sick. You could that could be part of it, or you could just believe that Leonard is your better thrower. I know they felt that in terms of decisions and just your better pure passer.
Well, with 5.5 to play, they need to throw a lot now. Goodman in a lot of trouble, and he is decked at the 15.
The problem with players who are not mobile is that in situations like this, you can be a great passer, but with today's defenses swarming the football all the time, you've got to have some mobility.
Well, Hopkins had mobility to make the tackle.
He did.
There's another one of those guys, 6'2", 250 pounds, that can run, and James Bell loves him. Here's the swing pass. Not much. J.R. Redmond never had a chance.
Well, this afternoon has belonged to James Bell and his defense at Wake Forest, and he was a pretty confident guy when we talked to him a couple of nights ago.
Very intense guy.
Yeah, he is, and you know, most defensive players, the coaches are that way. You know, we meet with these coordinators all the time, and the offensive guys sometimes a little bit more, we don't say intellectual, analytical maybe, and defensively you always find that intensity. But he said, you know what, I'm going to line up 20 guys here, I'm going to move them around. He said, I'm going to play like a coach on offense. The coaches on offense move their personnel. He said, I'm going to be moving my people, moving my linebacker up a foot or two, and making that offensive guard think, now, where do I cut him off? I want to put it back on them. That philosophy has helped work today.
Asked him if he wanted to be a head coach. He says, doesn't everybody? I said, well, not necessarily. I've seen assistants turn down jobs. He goes, yeah, they won't tell you, but they want that head job. They just want the right place. And he said, that's what I want. He said, I want a head job, but it's got to be the right place, the right job, the right time, and it's got to fit.
Jim Caldwell in Wake Forest is a pretty good fit. You know
it is. And you know what? Give the administration of Wake Forest a lot of credit, because they've hung with Jim Caldwell now in his 7th year as head coach in Winston-Salem. And he's been an assistant in some big programs, Penn State, Colorado, Northwestern, Louisville. So you look at the coaches he's worked for, Joe Paterno, Dennis Green, Bill McCartney, and Howard Schnellenberger, and he brings a pretty good tradition to Wake Forest, and they need that.
Good man. Good man to look to, and I know that after a 1-10 season a few years ago, some of the players went in and said, Coach, we're buying into your philosophy. We're not thinking about leaving here. And those are the 5th-year seniors, 23 of them who are here today, ending their careers. Most of them won't go play in the NFL.
Goodman trips over his own center. Scott Peters got caught under his foot.
But you know, it has to be a gratifying feeling to everyone involved for that type of commitment to see it come through. What a great ending to this season. I mean, after Duke, it looked like these guys were done. Then they come back and beat Georgia Tech in this, and on the other sideline, not quite so up.
Woes of the Pac-10 continue.
Yeah.
Time continues to move down to 4:15.
Well, the Pac-10 is going to need to play some defense in the Rose Bowl that's coming up, don't you think?
Oh, I don't think there's any question about it. I'll tell you this. Look for UCLA next year. They are really strong. A lot of young talent. The 8th punt for Murphy. Austin will fair catch it at the 47-yard line. Let's go downstairs to Leslie.
Hi, with head coach June Jones, and he's waiting patiently for his game, the Oahu Bowl, the Jeep Oahu Bowl, coming up in the second game of the doubleheader today. Is it tough for you to wait around while there's another couple teams out here playing?
Well, usually we get to come early and go out and work out. We're not going to be able to do that now, but it's great to be here playing on Christmas Day.
Do you guys feel you have a little advantage because you're used to the heat out here versus Oregon State?
Well, you know, usually our games are at night, so this is really a first day game for us at home, but you know, just the home surroundings of being here, it probably is a little bit to our advantage, but I think it's not going to be our normal home crowd. You know, all the tickets were all 4 teams, so I don't think we'll have the same advantage that way.
Nice little twist to this one. Dennis Erickson on the other sideline. Both of you guys back in the college ranks. How is it for you to be back in college?
Well, I love Hawaii, you know, and I'm glad that I am where I am. I had a great time in the NFL, met a lot of great people, had some great memories, but this is where I want to spend the rest of my life, and I'm excited about being here.
Great. Thanks a lot, Coach. Best of luck this afternoon. Up to you guys.
All right, Leslie. June's had some great trips. He was coach with Mouse Davis in the World League, as he mentioned, in the NFL, and now head coach at Hawaii.
Well, what a turnaround. I mean, Hawaii is a good football program. Just got him a quarterback. I saw one of the top kids around and says, you know, June Jones has turned it around. I believe in him.
Speaking of quarterbacks, C.J. Leak, now the quarterback for Wake Forest. Here is a story. C.J. Leak, just a true freshman, 6'4", 220 pounds, from Charlotte, North Carolina. One of the top players in the country last year, recruited heavily by everybody. And Notre Dame and Wake Forest were the final 2 on his list. And everybody assumed he was going to Notre Dame. Bob Davie thought he had him, and C.J. Leak surprised everybody and said, no, I'm going to play with Jim Caldwell and Wake Forest.
Well, and the other part of that story is that apparently, reportedly, his dad says that his son Chris has been, his 8th grade son has been offered a scholarship, a terrific young athlete apparently, and he's going to come to Wake Forest. So that's what has been reported, but that one stunned me even more than the story you mentioned.
Leak was drilled by Stephen Trejo. And so welcome to the big time, C.J. Leak. Actually, C.J. has played some this year. He came into the game 6 of 18, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He's from Independence High School. How can you offer an 8th grader?
I don't know. I know that my son Carson Luke was born 8 weeks ago, and then a coach, an unnamed basketball coach out there, sent him a letter of intent. We haven't sent it back in because we want him to play up to his potential. You don't know what the market's going to be in that year.
The festivities continue. Merry Christmas, everybody, from Hawaii. This is a unique treat to be in Hawaii for Christmas. And if you've never experienced it, it is some kind of fun. Reminder coming up on ESPN, the NFL's leading rusher Stephen Davis out with a bad ankle, so Skip Hicks will start the Washington Redskins trying to get into the playoffs, and they can do it with a win over the San Francisco 49ers. That's on ESPN. Then Monday on ABC, Dan Marino, the Miami Dolphins, they're looking to get into the playoffs. First, they've got to defeat the bitter AFC East rival, the New York Jets. The 30th anniversary season of Monday Night Football continues live, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on ABC Sports.
What's going on down in Miami?
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
J.R. Redmond calls for the fair catch at the 11. Well, Well, we're in Oahu, the third largest of the Hawaiian Islands, 608 square miles of coral blue visuals and lush green beauty. The Jeep Aloha Bowl. Aloha Stadium. Tim Brandt, Dean Blevins, Leslie Goodell just over the hill and well within sight of Pearl Harbor and the chilling white memorial encasing the sunken battleship USS Arizona. Christmas Day in Hawaii. I love that. Melakaliki Maka.
I've got
Haki Hiki Ho.
The first year or two, hey, you're getting good at that. The first year or two I was over here, had trouble adjusting. Now I'd kind of like to spend it every year over there. He finally gets him one. Boy, they have done a great job on him this afternoon.
I do, as I know you do, want to send along our best, our love to our family back on the mainland and wish them a very Merry Christmas.
Absolutely. Family members and friends, but certainly the mom, pa, and the brothers and their families. And I know that, gosh, there weren't but about 3 or 4 players and coaches from these two teams who didn't send regards back. So folks related to these people out here know that they love you and are thinking about you.
J.R. Redmond out to the 20. I want to also thank Lenny Kloppus and Marcia for what a wonderful job they've done here at the Jeep Aloha Bowl. And they have the only doubleheader. They've got the Oahu Bowl coming up right after this. Doubleheader football.
Yeah, they have boundless energy. Those guys do a great job of entertaining people and making everyone feel welcome. And now it's double trouble. If you want to look at it that way, but I don't. I think that you bring Coach Erickson and June Jones in here. This is a neat team.
Tell you what else they have here. Jeep and the marriage with the Aloha Bowl is the longest running sponsorship in a bowl game of any sponsor.
I would say
congratulations to Jeep and Aloha for that.
I would say you could use that as an Aflac trivia question, but it might be a little too much, huh? You think you're getting those corporate images confused? We'll just do that as an aside, huh?
1:37 to play. Goodman is sacked again. Brian Ray with his 12th sack of the year. And the junior from Wheaton, Maryland has had one whale of a game.
Arizona State elects to use a timeout, much like basketball teams do when they're down by 20 points with 20 seconds to go.
So to bring up second down and 15 as we get into the waning moments of this bowl game from Hawaii. I'm assuming these stands will start to fill up too as Hawaii playing in the next game.
Well, let's look back on what we thought coming into this game would have to happen for these teams to be successful. Arizona State had to have quarterback management. They wanted a quarterback to not feel like he needed to win the game. Well, they did not get great quarterback play, so I think that you can say that that one was unsuccessful, arrow down. And Wake Forest, smother and cover heap. Put some exclamation points here. How about that, partner? I mean, they did exactly what the game plan was. They smothered the running game and the young quarterback of Arizona State. And even though he got his catches, what he ended, I think he's got 5 catches so far, they really kept the main attraction of this offense and held in check.
I agree with you. Big plays by Jimmy Caldwell, the 56-yard touchdown run, and Morgan Kane certainly with the touchdown run and his big numbers. But the defense really the MVP of this game for Wake Forest. Here's Goodman again. Second down and long. It's into Smith.
No, how about that defense? I mean, your quarterback is banged up. He barely gets the ball off. Barely a reception, and you bang him out of bounds. I mean, it's just been a day of defense.
Looks like it'll be the 4th time this season that Wake's defense held opponents under 200 total yards. That'll be accomplished this afternoon, so it'll be 3rd down and 16. Goodman throws this underneath, and this one's dropped by Flowers. Tough afternoon for Delvon Flowers.
Yeah, it has. I think those 2 drops really set the tone, a negative tone for both him and the offense of Arizona State. They ended up having 5 or 6 drops, which you look at the quarterback play and you say, you know, Goodman didn't do that much. Well, if those balls are caught, this game may have been different for Griff and his offense and for that coach, Bruce Snyder.
Flowers had that huge game against Oregon. 23 carries, 161 yards, and a touchdown. So to bring up another punting situation, Nick Murphy comes on. He's been active this afternoon, and Reggie Austin of Wake Forest will be standing back at the 37. Wake Forest takes a timeout. So that'll be the final timeout for the Demon Deacons. You know, there was a lot of talk in the Atlantic Coast Conference about which team was going to come to the Aloha Bowl, which would be asked to come, which would finish 5th. I know had Maryland beaten Virginia, it would have been the Maryland Terrapins here. And Wake Forest thought they were out of the picture pretty much until the Georgia Tech game, and what a game they had against the Yellow Jackets. As a matter of fact, their play of the year was from this game. Watch this, Joe Hamilton. Here comes that defense we've been talking about. And the big sack by Robbins. The place went crazy. Bedlam down at Wake Forest. Look at Sankey. I guess he had reached his goal. The Aloha Bowl.
And appropriately, the play of the year as picked by their coaches, well, it was a defensive play.
Well, there's their bowl history. The Gator Bowl, the Dixie back in the 40s. In 79, the Tangerine, which is now the Citrus, and 92, the Independence. But it's been a long, long dry spell, and Jim Caldwell has gotten them back to the bowl.
You know, he brought up a point the other day that he and his team took it as a personal challenge that Arizona State was being talked about as the best 6'5" team around, and that J.R. Redmond was the best running back on a team besides the biggest names out there. He said, you know what, Morgan Kane takes that personally, and we do too. We want to jump out there and go 7-5.
Austin will catch this ball at the 30, and he's hit immediately. Terrific coverage by Jamel Reddy, rather. For Wake Forest today, 5 sacks and held Arizona State to just 164 yards and 3 points.
You know, we showed that Georgia Tech highlight a moment ago, and in a few minutes we're going to show you our plays of the year from all the great games that we were able to cover this year. And part of that package is Joe Hamilton when he played down at Florida State on a night that you and I will never remember. What a terrific game there was early this year. Yeah, or never forget, either one. I told you I was sick. A lot of people have come down with this same sickness. You know, we mentioned that off the top. I don't see how these guys have played through it today.
You mentioned the plays of the year. It's certainly in the post game. We'll take a look at those plays of the year that you have selected. And Leslie will be down on the field. She'll talk to Jim Caldwell and some of the players. Look at the presentation. We're going to keep you just a while longer here. A lot of good stuff yet to come here from Hawaii this afternoon. Ben Sankey's had a terrific job, done a terrific job this afternoon. Everybody's starting to play now for Wake Forest. It's that stage of the game, and when you go back and you look at what Wake Forest has done this year, you touched on it, but this is a team that beat Army, NC State, Rutgers, and everybody said, well, they really haven't done much. And then they beat UAB, probably their best game of the year, but then beat North Carolina, and as you mentioned, ended the season November 20th with a 26-23 win over Georgia Tech. Come in here today, and now it's final. They've beaten ASU. This is a great finish for Wake Forest and Jim Caldwell.
Well, and you like to see good people finish first, nice people finish first. And not that Bruce Snyder isn't, he is. He's finished first before. He's had an undefeated season, and he's also had Jake the Snake and done all those things and been coach of the year. But Jim Caldwell, he deserves his at-bat, and he's getting it right now. And I think the best thing about this is that they have 23 fifth-year seniors.
That is incredible.
It really is, because normally you don't even sign that many players.
Well, they only had, what, 27 seniors.
27 seniors.
Most of those are fifth years.
Right.
And Moses is a 6-year guy because he had that injury hardship that was granted by the NCAA.
It tells you those kids are committed to programs. It tells you they're there for academics. It tells you they're keeping their nose clean. They're staying eligible academically. And it tells you they like to coach because they haven't won a ton.
Well, the final score, Wake Forest 23, Arizona State 3. We'll have the post-game activities right after this.
Torpedoes.